Hello, guys. Another prediction week from your boy, Stevie Ray. Now, this week on the TKN Celebrity Tournament, brother, we have 4 good ones. 4 very good ones. First of all, we have NBA superstar, Mr. Michael Cooper, Hall of Famer, Lakers. He's here today. Let's see what he can do. And we have actor extraordinaire, Mr. Mark Metcalf. I know he's here to win it also. But my 2 favorites this week, and I might be showing a little bias, professional wrestlers like your boy, Mr. Jake Hager, AEW WWE superstar. You know he's in it to win it. Last but not least, Mr. Ray Lloyd. You probably know him as Glacier, the Karate Man. The man that I had to actually straighten out one night. But he's here. He's in it to win it. That I know for a fact. And I'm going to say this. My predictions are the 3 people that I think will move forward. Michael Cooper, don't let me down. Ray Lloyd, don't let me down. Jake, you hold it up for the professional wrestlers. I hate to be like that, but it is what it is. And can you dig it, sucker?
This is different. This is magnificent, man. And I like this. I enjoyed myself to the fullest, and I can't wait to come back on. I can't wait to see it, see more of the people on here.
And it's also wonderful to hear people talk sanely to each other.
I mean, yes, pain is inevitable. I mean, there's a reason we have these sensors in our body. I mean, they're warning signs. In other words, something hurts. Obviously, something is amiss.
She told me her story again about her and her dad, but she also said, by the way, my father passed away. She's an only child. She didn't have any family. And she asked me to walk her down the aisle. That's the part that changed.
It's just that cruel moment of when you realize there is no hope. That tears at me, but it doesn't tear at me anymore because there was hope. I hung on just long enough to come out the other side. And here I am. Look at me, all beautiful and stuff.
There's a thing called Juneteenth. Maybe y'all never heard of it. The slaves in Texas didn't even know they were free.
Continue to work as hard as you can, because by working, Avi, you will keep yourself busy and get used to the grief.
Another trio of questions, now more underrated. We have Billy D. Williams, Italian men named Skippy, or unicycle.
I'm sorry, Italian men named Skippy. Put me away, Avi. That's
Archie Bunker, the mountain climber, Ralph Cramden, the yoga instructor, or Don Corleone, the computer repair person.
It's clearly an issue with the hard drive.
I'm going to go Don Corleone.
Where I went around, I visited all the adults first in the cancer, the Stony Brook University Cancer Center, and then I visited the children. And I would say the adults were at least as enthused and joyful to see Santa. And
I got a chance to get to know Joe Weeder. Joe was like a second father to me. He took me under his wing. He introduced me to art. He introduced me to history.
There are those of us who like to venture to the unexplored, to see the beauty in the strange, and unknown. Those of us who go out there with a sense of wonder. It's the magic of risking everything for a dream that nobody sees but you.
Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the shadow of the shade. Yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me, unafraid. God, it matters not how straight the gate, how punishment charged the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul.
I have to remind myself that some birds aren't meant to be caged. Their feathers are just too bright. And when they fly away, part of you that knows it was a sin to lock them up does rejoice. Let me tell you about a voice. The one that whispers. It tells me what's right and what's not, when to leave and where to go. It's not Shakespeare. It does not speak in memorable lines. My inner voice always gives it to me straight. Tells me who my real friends are. When to say yes, when to say no. Whether the person sitting next to me is the one I'll be spending the rest of my life with.
You already know that dedication, hard work, and perseverance gives positive results.
Let your instincts guide you.
What would you do if you weren't an actor? If you didn't make it as an actor, what would you do? I have no idea. I would act somewhere, because I'll die if I don't.
I don't take this man for granted as a friend. I don't take him for granted as a brother. And I will say that because who knows what tomorrow brings. And I appreciate you for who you are, Del, wholeheartedly. The floor is yours, solo.
Well, thank you, Avi. I appreciate that, and the feeling's mutual. I appreciate you for who you are.
I just think it's going to be, a lot of fun for people. I don't think people, there's nothing like this on the air. I don't think really. No, there isn't. I just think it's going to be I'm very interested in how people respond to it, because I know it's going to be interesting and see if people tune in and stay tuned in, and I really hope they do. And I'm all yours, bro. Let's go out and make this work. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Okay, bye.
Thank you for being you, my friend. I appreciate you and respect you wholeheartedly.
And that goes double for me to you, Avi.
A blast. Oh, I want to dance with somebody.
There we go.
I'll do it.
I do too right now, guys and gals. And
But I was going, Tom, Don, I'm a true fan. Yo, I never watched all of your movies through, Tom, because they scared the crap out of me. Love y'all, man.
Pleasure.
Great to meet you. It's great to meet you too, Trent.
Yeah, Avi, you did a great job.
Hi, I'm Rick Barry, a member of the Basketball Hall of Fame and one of the NBA's top 50 players. And I'm really excited to tell you about my new relationship in the broadcasting world with the new network.
It's TKN, and a young man named Avi Klein has poured his blood, sweat, and tears into creating this new network and assembling an amazing group of individuals to co-host shows with him.
Legends from every walk of life who are just bringing their knowledge and their experience and their wisdom, and this is amazing. I feel like this is a cosmic convergence of what is most important to him, and he's such a stand-up guy.
Here, but with a very warm heart for Avi and thanking him for all the work he's put into creating the new network. For me, I have just a teeny part of this in terms of having a program that's based on storytelling, where I get to share some of my stories with you.
I can't even imagine how hard Avi Klein works. He tells me he gets 4 hours of sleep a day, and I actually believe that because Avi is so passionate, he works so hard.
There is nothing that was on TV tonight that even remotely rivals what we did on this broadcast.
I am so grateful for our friendship. And you know what? You appreciate things in people that make such a difference. You make each of us feel like we're more than we know how to even thank you. Anyway.
He's very respectful, and he really connects with the artists and his audiences, and I felt like this guy's on to something, and I'm proud to be a part of this with him.
And I really thank your support. I lost my father, and you were the first person to support me in all that, and I thank you so much for that.
Avi, congratulations. I don't know anybody that can talk as much as you. Seriously, I thought I could talk. You are unreal. But you do it with class, understanding, professionalism. You're simply amazing. I told you that when I first met you, and you ran off my autobiography. It basically was a book. It was simply fantastic. And to think that you do that every show.
The greatest wealth is when you can share it with someone. You can share your victories, you can share your failure, you can express your deepest feelings, but the greatest wealth is to be able to say that I have a friend, and I feel an unbelievable level of wealth, and a lot of that is because I have somebody like you.
Last name Ventura, first name Jesse.
I'll tell you this, Avi, you definitely do your homework.
John Amos.
Man, what an introduction. I hope I can live up to that. God bless you.
I hope you're getting paid a lot. That was the greatest intro I think I've ever had.
So I'm highly impressed. So I would give this a very high A.
Well, thank you very much. I can't think of a better way to begin the new year than with you.
Avi, always great to hear your voice, kid, and to hear your intros. You're amazing.
Welcome this man, last name Davidson, first name Tommy.
Nice. I think that's the best intro I've ever had.
Did you have a nice time tonight in the green room?
I had a great time. I can't tell you how refreshing it is that somebody knows what they're doing.
Avi is a poet, but he doesn't know it, but his feet show it. You're unbelievable.
Winning it all, competitive juices, are they all there, Joe?
Man, the competitive juices don't stop.
Oh, are you here to win the whole darn tournament?
I don't play. I just win.
You're chomping at the bit to get in this thing.
Oh yeah, man. I've been telling you, brother. You brought up some names to me, and I was like, I can't wait. I hope they don't see me because it's gonna be on like a steaming pot of neck bones, baby. And I'm not playing.
Mike, I gotta ask you the golden question. Are you here to win the entire thing, my friend?
I'll just say this, Avi. Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
But are you here to win the entire celebrity tournament when it's all said and done?
I saw a very familiar face in Mike Rotundo, better known as IRS, and he said that he was here for the winner, winner, chicken dinner, and I want to take away that chicken dinner, so yes, I want to win this whole shebang.
First name Joe Smith, welcome, my friend.
Oh my God, Avi. Where did you get all of that from? Oh my God.
Love you, John. Love you, Tom. Love you, Pop. Thank you for always believing in me. And guys and gals and pals, industrial-sized air conditioners at your favorite B&B in Alaska would be rendered obsolete after witnessing that intro because we're all fired up. That much is a fact. You've all experienced luminary after luminary. Enter this virtual arena. Indeed, this tournament is quite stacked. I dubbed this vision of mine edutainment because I place emphasis on entertainment and education. Because on this station, we celebrate those that are passionate about their vocation. And this format is anything but the same old, same old. So I thank you for embracing the innovation and expressing your constant elation when taking in the most star-studded tournament of them all. A place where competitors convey their level of admiration while we marvel at the information, passion, and perspiration while observing this wide array of talent that make up the population of strong-minded thinkers that enlighten us, which is why I subscribe to conversation, because listening and applying is how we get to our destination. We're all so much closer than we are apart, which is why this show offers a demonstration about what's right about us as a society. So for the new viewers out there who have a fascination, sit back and enjoy as I put a cap on this verbal dissertation. Let's keep doing what we do and realize that our motto isn't a Sherlock Holmes mystery. A legendary director of Superman fame, one of my mentors, told me, write your own history. Guys and gals, teaching history and screenwriting for the very best was one thing, but sharing your history is an honor. And that mentor lives in my heart every day. His name was Richard Donner. So let's sit back and realize what we've witnessed here in this tournament, oh so grand, where as of tonight, 131 Hall of Famers and award winners and nominees own this land as we discover and rediscover our humanity through open dialogue and expand. So be prepared to give a hand to competitors that are about to work their sweat gland, all the while our attention they command. With 15 grand and a 5-day and 5-night trip to Greece on the line, one can't forget about the pride and the prize. So with that, let's all rise and reprise our roles as educational voyeurs that never chastise or agonize, but rather revel in our beautiful reality without needing a disguise. Here on this network, we're allergic to lies. The bard Shakespeare once said, it is not in the stars to hold our destiny, but in ourselves. So if you love something, don't hate others that do, because doing is the sweet nectar that is most rewarding. Take a moment to breathe, admire your desire to aspire, because if you don't, life will be but a blur. Of this I'm sure. So never hate the flower for starting out as a seed. Long distance running is essential. This isn't a stampede. So don't run anyone over on your way to the top, because focus on yourself and never forget to cheerlead. Root for your loved ones and lift people up. This human fortune cookie hopes that we've all agreed that positivity is something we can never concede. So with that, let's bring in our first participant, because these three men, Mark Metcalf, Ray Lloyd, and Michael Cooper, they are salt of the earth. They are giving us their time, and they, guys and gals and pals, epitomize why I do what I do over here. Hey, not to get on a soapbox, but when that studio said, Avi, we love what you've done for us as a screenwriter, but with this show, it's not controversial. We don't think it'll succeed. Well, all I can tell you is ha, ha, ha. And now all of a sudden, those same guys can laugh about these ha-has because they subscribe to this, because we subscribe to conversation, not controversy. This is philosophical fun, and we preach edutainment. Guys and gals in life, we don't pick up cues. We pick up impulses. Sometimes silence does have myriad of meanings. Theater, silence, an absence of word, but it's never an absence of meaning. So your thoughts, let the present educate us fully, like this man has educated us.
Here's my advice to you. I think that you are now at a brilliant time. I wish I was starting now, because you have a new technology that you can make a movie with that's cheap. Your digital camera, okay? Make a movie. Start making movies. That's my advice to anybody. Just make it great. Then get it shown. Then make another one. Keep working. There's no other way to do it. Unless you write your way in the movie business, or unless you become an actor, and you want to be a director, direct. Make a film. Show it to somebody. Make another film. Show it to them. You'll make it. If I can do it, you can do it.
people like Luthez, who is, as we call the Babe Ruth of professional wrestling. I got to watch firsthand how a true professional carried himself. And he taught me an awful lot about how to walk like a professional, speak like a professional. And, it just, man, I tell you what, it just hit me in a way that nothing ever had, about that someone, would say that about, my dad. Wow. In that message, what I took from that was my dad did a lot to help a lot of people and inspire them, encourage them in whatever way. And sometimes maybe he realized it, probably a lot of times he didn't realize the amount of encouragement he gave to people. And
guys and gals and pals, I smile not always because I'm happy, but I'm smile because I'm strong, because this man behind the scenes has always made me strong and made others strong. That's the truth. This is a man who I've known for a very long time. This is a man who's broken bread with me several times. This is a man who I consider a dear friend and a great human being. He and I go several years back, guys and gals, several years. A Vegas show, 78 episodes, and a few domestic beers. He's a true Renaissance man, a teacher, a speaker, a wrestler, a trainer, but most importantly, a friend. He'll captivate you by being as real can be, as his kindness is eternal and seemingly has no end. He's as versatile as he is warm, and he has brave experience in many fields, such as film, TV, wrestling, public speaking, teaching, and training as well. There are too many sorts out there, but not him. He stays far away from hell. Off box after box after. He's ambitious and always gives. If his Schmitz were measured in feet, he would be 10 feet tall. As a teacher and trainer, he's taken the time to help others shine bright. Much as a fact, done in the film with his epic full feature, The Unbreakable Buck. He's the star attraction in the lives of many, because many people call him their best friend. I am one of many that do just that. I guess you can call that a trend. With his parents' virtues and principles, this man is a true treasure. Shaking his hand and breaking bread with him is an absolute pleasure. It might be evening, but his presence will always help you get through the day. Let's welcome a close friend and talent. Last name Lloyd. First name Ray. Ray Lloyd, welcome to round 2 of this tournament, my friend.
Oh, thanks so much, Avi. It's a blast to be back. It's an honor and pleasure to be back. And, I'm blown up from listening to you say all that fast. So.
Oh, man, listen, I'll tell you what, I'm blown up for all that you've provided me, because, again, at the end of the day, the cup never runneth over when you fill it to the top, my friend, with your humanity, and I appreciate you for that.
Thank you, bro. And I can say the same to you. You know that, and I always love the fact that you wear my favorite jacket whenever I'm on the show. So I love that color. It looks good on you.
You never know. If you move on to round 3, I got some of these here too.
There you go, buddy. There you go. So.
Guys, round number 3, of course, as you know, Ray, is going to start in the summer or so. We just kicked off round number 2. We're taking our sweet time here because we are building. You're a huge part of this. You were here since day number 1. Ray, 15 grand, 5-day trip to Greece, 5 days, 5 nights. Not to mention the fact that this thing is growing to be the sole person out of 131 Hall of Famers from the world of sports, music, wrestling, not to mention Oscar, Grammy, Tony, Emmy, Golden Globe, WGA Award nominees, and winners, to be the one man standing out of this. That'd be pretty cool, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, it goes without saying. And Avi, I'm with my fiance. I'm engaged to get married, and we're looking to get married next fall. So hopefully this falls around that same time where maybe I can just include this as part of the honeymoon. Maybe.
I like that. I like that. I like that a lot. There you go, a 2-for-1 right there.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. I mean, guys, I hope you can hear me. I mean, I'm thrilled to death. I'm thrilled to death to be, sharing the stage with you guys, and especially in this environment. Just listening to that stuff you said on the intro video, Avi. I mean, I can only just echo so much of that, and the fact that, this is such a great, encouraging, supportive environment. And, and you're right. I've been with you since day one, and just to see, that you have made that work when a lot of people thought that, you couldn't make that work. The controversy was the only thing that sells, and you proved, that those critics wrong. And because of that, that's why we're all here right now. And guys, I just want to say, Mark, and Michael, it is a real honor and pleasure, because, you guys both have been influences on me. And if we get a chance to talk about all that a little bit later, I can certainly tell you how. But I love that. Michael, I can just tell you that one of my best buddies since my childhood is a good buddy of mine named Kip Branch, and he was absolutely one of your biggest fans. He still is, and he thought it was the coolest thing in the world that you wore the long white socks, when you play. so just know.
Speaking of cool, I got to say this: like, as great at Hall of Famer, as great as he was as a player, what a remarkable human being, and the way he gives back. It's remarkable to just say I've known him for about a year, But he's one of those guys who I feel just like your father. Everyone said, hey, man, that's my best friend right there. He's got that genuine quality that connects with everybody.
That's so awesome. I'm looking so forward to getting to know both you guys, and that's just what I was going to say about Michael. I mean, I'm sure you've heard this a lot, but my buddy Kip, who was an amazing athlete, a baseball, basketball player, football player, but you were one of the reasons why he loved basketball. And just so you know, I mean, where I grew up in South Georgia in a great community called Brunswick, Georgia. So just know you inspired people all across the country, including some kids in the small little town of Brunswick, Georgia, back in the day. So and I mean that with all sincerity, I really do. So
there's nothing insincere about you, my friend, at all. And I'm so glad that we're here sharing this time right now. I'm going to put you backstage momentarily and bring in the gang, my friend.
Yeah.
Mr. Ray Lloyd, guys and gals, again, a legendary human being. Before you delve into that legendary resume, and it is a lot to break down. Guys and gals and pals, the aforementioned Mr. Cooper. The great Miles Davis said, a painting is music you can see, and music is a painting you can hear. And Miles Davis also said, do not fear mistakes because there are none. And I concur. I tell my students, there are no mistakes, only discoveries. If we don't explore, we don't discover. Our second participant is class personified. And he's a man that is a champion in every sense of the word, but as a human being, first and foremost.
He taught us this. He taught us that you can only come out and give your best effort. That's all you can do. The outcome is not determined by anything that you have control over. The only thing you have control over is your effort and then the effort of your group, your team. And when you put together a good effort consistently, you have a chance to win. And everybody wants to win, but there's only one team that can win it all, and you have to accept that. And as long as you put your best effort out there, you should be satisfied with that and not be down on yourself. I was a pretty good student, yeah. And my mom wanted to emphasize that school was a very important part of my life, and she wanted me to do well, and I took that message to heart. I had to work hard to become a good basketball player.
And go with his beliefs. And, he went to jail. Muhammad Ali went to jail. And for me, that was significant because, being a young man growing up and watching, just to name a few, Muhammad Ali, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Jim Brown, when they were having those meetings during the civil rights, and these athletes took a step forward. Well, yes, I faced death before, but for my brother, nobody in my family's ever been murdered. And that was shocking to me. I happened to be on the road when that happened. So for me, I just put all my hopes and my prayers and my thoughts in the Lord, and let the Lord work through me. So when I do go out, or so when people see me, they can see that happy side of me, and it's in a situation where I can handle it to the best of my ability.
That man's perspective and outlook grabs you. It really does grab you a lot of times when you need it. He grew up in Pasadena, California, and was born to parents Marshall and Jean. Believe it or not, he rooted for the Boston Celtics, the old white and green. His mother worked so very hard, double shifts as a nurse. The struggle was widespread as he had to deal with a circumstance that was rather adverse, but through a sheer will and determination, he wouldn't allow it to get worse. As a toddler, he severely cut one of his knees, resulting in a wound that required about 100 stitches too close. A doctor told his family he would never be able to walk, but that isn't how the story goes. So take that, doctor. A doctor, guys and gals. I'd like to punch you in the nose, but I digress. He not only proved the good doctor wrong, but being able to walk normally, he excelled in many sports. As a matter of fact, football and baseball came first before the days of short shorts on the old basketball courts. It was Cooper's uncles who spotted and encouraged his athletic talent and encouraged him to play baseball. But he didn't like standing and letting someone throw a rock on his head. He had the wherewithal to not follow protocol. Thankfully, his uncles John, George, and Tom were there for him as he looked on in wonder, seeing the great John Havlicek thrive and excel. Thanks to their support, along with his grandmother, Ardesi Butler, he would soar and propel. He attended Pasadena High School, graduated in 74, and his coach, George Tarzian, said something so very concise. USA basketball before basketball uses you. That is some sage advice. So I'm sure he pondered more than twice or thrice as it proved to be precise. Even when the pomp and circumstance and bright lights surrounded him in a West Coast paradise, he became obsessed with shutting down opponents, and his main focus was defense. His court awareness was second to none. Never was a defender so intense. He averaged 26 a game in Pasadena City College, and then it was off to New Mexico. He chose this school because coach said, hey, I'll throw the ball up and let's see who can go. The 5 best would start, and under coach Norm Ellenberger, who recruited 8 JUCO All-Americans in the crowd, was ecstatic, borderline manic, as their opponents experienced something problematic. Trying to contain them proved to be traumatic, as their excellence was on the court. It was cinematic, with Jimmy Allen, Mark Felix, and Marvin Johnson, otherwise known as Automatic. He was drafted by the Lakers in the 3rd round of the 1978 NBA draft. Pretty soon management would be in awe, as they'd realize that this was a matter of his craft. Coach McKinney made the best decision of his career, as this man won the last roster spot. For the next decade, he'd lock down the greatest of all time like a knight defending Camelot. Check this out. 9 times he was selected to all NBA defensive teams. Everyone would agree the man was the king of D, as the Lakers fan would scream like a banshee. His alley-oops were as sweet as a bar of Nestle, and if that wasn't enough, he could always shoot the 3. Defensive Player of the Year in 87, 5-time world champion in the decade of the 80s, as the Lakers reached basketball heaven. An All-Star MVP in Italy, a WNBA Coach of the Year award, 2 WNBA coaching titles in 2001 and 2002, supporting communities and donating countless hours to charitable causes through and through. You know his name. He always had game. You can't forget the acclaim. His heart is pure. It's always been the same, but now it's official. He's a member of the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. Yeah, he's a hero. Determination, dedication, desire, discipline, decision-making. These are the 5 Ds he shares with kids. The man is truly super. So put your hands together for an incredible, fun, positive human being. First name Michael, last name Cooper. Welcome, my friend, to round 2 of the celebrity tournament.
I mean, you know what? I am in ecstasy over here. Thank you, first of all. You give great eargasm. I am truly blessed that you have the gift of gab, and I'm glad to be in round 2. I'm enjoying tonight being on with Mark and Ray. And Ray, your friend Kip, you said was a big follower of mine, but I wore high white socks because my legs were skinny. So that was one of the reasons that I wore.
Ray, I see Ray back there as well, getting that information.
The white socks. But just so glad, Avi, you know what? You are something else, man. You got the really eloquent way of introducing your guests, and I'll always appreciate that and enjoy listening to you. And I'm with Ray. I love that jacket, so I'm going to get me one, and whenever we go out. Yeah, I'm loving that color, man.
Without question, guys and gals, Michael Cooper is here. Michael, Hall of Fame human being. You've helped so many kids. You've helped so many people along the way. You know, before I get into the tournament stuff, I do want to say this really quickly. How do you feel when people from all walks of life are telling you, whether it was in a town in Georgia, whether it was somewhere in New Jersey, you inspire me?
Well, you know what, it feels good because you know what, our main goal in life is to inspire others and to encourage others and help them along the path of whatever journey they're on. So sure. For them saying that I gave them that little extra inspiration for them to be a better person, that's what we're here, and that's what it's all about to me.
I love that. Very recently, Dad passed, and he had the best coop. Every time to be the coop de loop, man, he came from a visceral place. And he told me one of the first things that he actually did upon coming to this country was go to the Great Western Forum, watch Norm Nixon, Jamal Wilkes, Michael Cooper, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And they inspired him to do something because when he read your background and how you worked hard and became what you did through dedication, that inspired him. So in a way, you know, I think my dad is definitely thanking you as well for being able to inspire him and so many, Michael Cooper.
Well, first of all, I mean, my condolences to you, man. Hopefully you're getting over it, and my prayers are going up for you and for your dad. You know what? I like to think your father and my brother are up there looking down on us, and they're still inspiring us through the spiritual connectiveness that we have with them. And I'm going to keep praying for you, Avi. All my best to you, sir.
I appreciate you. You are class personified. Mr. Cooper, again, 15 grand, 5-day trip to Greece. You are a winner, here to win it all, I'm assuming.
Oh, sure. 8 championships, 5 with the Lakers, 2 in the WNBA, 1 the D League, which is now the G League.
Right.
And as somebody said, I ain't playing to lose, I'm playing to win, baby. That'll give me 9 rings right there. I use the pocket change, and my wife wants to go, so that'll be a good extra. We're in now, so we get to travel a little bit.
Oh, there you go. That's a good incentive as well. My friend, appreciate you. I'm going to put you in the back momentarily.
Hey.
The great Michael and gals, again, what a great thing. As is Mark Metcalf. They have in common, they inspire others. And speaking of Mr. Metcalf, I'm going to bring him in right now, gals and pals. And then we delve into topic number one. Remember, it's not this competitive thing. When we vote, essentially, you're letting someone know you resonated with them or they resonated with you. That's a positive thing. That's a great way. So that's what we're going to do. There are no better or worse here. There's no competitor that's better, but there is going to be a competitor that resonates. We'll see how it goes. Guys, sometimes, as I mentioned, has a myriad of reasons. And I mentioned how in theater, silence has an absence of words, but never an absence of meaning. The following guest is a friend and a wonderful human being. Very thoughtful, very kind, very present. He's class personified. He's down to earth. He's genuine. He's also eloquent. He's intelligent, but he has a kind heart as well. He is more than merely his profession. Guys and gals, please take a look.
What that meant?
Well, it was pretty much like my beginnings in the theater. I had the confidence of ignorance, not knowing anything about it. There was no basis for fear. In other words, if you don't know that if you're walking along the edge of a cliff and you don't know it's the edge of a cliff, you have perfect confidence. You know, I didn't discover the cliff in the theater or in films until after I'd been in it for a while.
What happens then when ignorance turns into experience?
Then you have to be very careful not to listen to anybody. You know, because when you have to remember your old ignorance and ask for the impossible with the same cheerfulness that you did when you didn't know what you were talking about.
It's understandable that the people who in charge, the people with influence, chose money over artistic integrity, over humanity. And that's a pure-hearted, optimistic young prince who goes into the world and learns from the world that all is not as it feels in his heart.
I know he doesn't like a lot of compliments, but listening to Mark Metcalf makes you a lot wiser, a lot smarter, and a lot better of a person. He was born in Findlay, Ohio, but left soon after he was born, as his life's journey was in its first chapter. He would ascend to great heights like a Vince Carter dunk when he was a Toronto Raptor. He attended the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. He was an engineer his freshman year before transferring to architecture. But much to our delight, he started acting in plays during his sophomore year. He did it for fun, despite the fact that it would soon become quite the career. He loved the stage and initially said no to TV, no to film, because working off Broadway or off Broadway was a whole lot of fun. But to the chagrin of no one, he would succeed as he was quite the go-getter. It might be lonely at the top, but the food is better. That is one of his favorite movie lines of all time. His role in the legendary Animal House is iconic. Certainly you concur with this rhyme. He played Romeo in Riverside Park. He did Streamers in New York and countless other projects that we all know. Yes, we all remember his impactful role on Seinfeld as the maestro. His commitment to the parental character in Twisted Sisters music video delivered the timeless line of what do you want to do with your life? We want to rock, so let's bring him in. Tell your friends, family, coworkers, and even your wife. We're about to find out who this man is. No one will be left in the dark. So welcome a talented, humble, down-to-earth human being. Last name Metcalf, first name Mark. Mark, welcome, my friend, to round 2 of the tournament.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Avi. You not only talk a lot, but you talk fast. And I'm really impressed.
Oh, no, my friend. I'm impressed with what you've given us for so many years. Because
I'm impressed not just by the fact that you talk a lot and you talk fast, but you make sense too, which is rare these days sometimes for people who talk fast and talk a lot. And I'm really grateful for you involving me in you.
Absolutely, yeah. You are an incredible talent that has committed himself to the craft, and you always are very direct and honest and transparent. I think that's such a great way to ease the burden of living life in a way that's carefree. Just being direct and being honest. It seems easy, right?
It seems like it ought to be easy. I mean, yeah, you have to let a lot of things go.
Sure.
A lot of things that they pound into you. You have to let that go. And I think it's easier when you get a little older too, to just not give a.
Sure. Sure. I would concur. Mark, again, so many great talents. You've done so much great work and continue to do work that you're passionate about. You care about your family. You're a very thoughtful person. 15 grand, but a 5-day, 5-night trip to Greece would be kind of nice as well, right?
Yeah, it would be great. I've never been to Greece. I read Henry Miller's book, Colossus of Morosi, several times and fantasized going to Greece and imagined going to Greece. And I'll take that with me and it'll be my guidebook. It's a great book. I recommend it to anybody, even if you can't go to Greece. But no, I'm looking forward to going to Greece, and I'm sorry for all you other guys who probably also think you're going, but you're wrong. Sorry.
Mr. Mark Metcalf, I appreciate you, my friend. I'm going to bring in Mr. Ray Lloyd right now, Mr. Michael Cooper. Guys and gals, we're going to start with topic number 1. But of course, Michael, Mark, and Ray, here we all are. Thank you, guys. Here we go.
Thanks so much, Avi.
Absolutely. And Ray, that was, again, Michael addressing your friend Kip as well, as far as the Sox.
Yeah. He's not going to believe it when I tell him, Michael, that his name came from your mouth. Trust me, he won't believe it. So, but
thank you. And you know what, Mark? I love that episode of Seinfeld. You as a maestro. That was absolutely wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you for calling me maestro.
Yes,
I got to say, I said to Michael before when we were back in the green room,
right,
how much I appreciated the beauty that he represented when he played basketball. That he and that team represented. I grew up playing basketball, and always thought it was a combination of jazz and ballet.
Wow.
And then when I was a freshman at the University of Michigan in 1964, I made the freshman team and I played with Cassie Russell.
Cassie Russell.
Remember Cassie Russell?
Great, yeah.
Yeah, he convinced me. We scrimmaged with the varsity, and I guarded him, and he guarded me, and I quit the team because I realized that a combination of jazz and ballet. It was contact sport the way Cassie played it, and beautifully. But you and Magic and Kareem and those fellows on that team just elevated my love of the game. Thank you.
Wow. Without question. I think you guys have elevated the lives of many. There's no doubt. When it comes to topic number 1, again, are rebuttals an option? Of course they are. They're optional. The way the rebuttal works is if Mark, Michael, or Ray choose to rebut the other, they just lift the index finger up. I pop in and make it official. That's optional. It's not mandatory, of course. But for topic number 1, it is about education, because these 3 men are educators, because in order to be able to soak in knowledge, you must listen, and I think a lot of people have listened, rightly so, to these 3 gentlemen. Legendary Irish poet William Butler Yeats said, "Education is not the filling of the pail, but the lighting of a fire." And as a former U.S. history teacher, I would concur. To become a great teacher, it's not enough to have great ideas to share with the world. You must also be willing to live by the virtues that you teach. Leading by example may not be showing off how clever you are, but it's also not about holding up some vague moral principle about academic honesty. Instead, maybe it's a deeply practical concern that can make the difference between a mediocre teacher and a great one. Doesn't matter where you're writing a blog post, whether you're helping out a coworker as you learn new tech or giving a keynote in front of 1,000 people. If you cannot practice what you preach, you cannot validate what you teach. Guys and gals, we're going to start right now with Mr. Mark Metcalf first. Same topic for all. This is cumulative, of course. Top 2 vote getters after topic 2. We'll move on to round 3. There's only 2 topics in this second round. And guys and gals, again, single elimination tournament. That's what it's about, but we're also able to have philosophical fun together. Strangers walk out as friends. Mr. Mark Metcalf, if you struck up a conversation, and again, there's no time limit here, if you struck up a conversation with a potential employer and they asked you to name the 3 most important principles that a teacher should abide by, what do you think those 3 principles should be, and why would they mean so much to you, my friend? Whenever you are ready, good sir, the floor is yours.
I had a teacher in high school, in college, my mentor in the theater, who always used to say with a great deal of false humility, and he used to say, "I'm only teach and serve," and we were supposed to follow and worship him because. But I believe that. I really think that the reason we are here is to serve. I can't get the camera on my. We're all here to teach and serve. I believe we are. So what I would expect of a teacher, and what I would answer the question of any teacher is the same expect from any human being is, first of all, honesty, which means lack of deception, means forthrightness, straightforwardness, directness. I would also expect compassion, which either walks hand in hand with empathy or a bit behind it. I'm not sure, but the ability to listen carefully to everything that students say, because students are teachers too. It's like parenting. Your child, my child anyway, became my teacher. I learned. I thought I was teaching him at first how to spell, how to write, how to do all these things, how to perceive the world. But I learned after just a few years that his brain was working so much faster than mine and absorbing so much more than mine and trying to put it out. He didn't have the communication skills that come with growing older. But I learned from him something about being a human being, something about being surprised, something about awe, something about wonder. And I think teaching, any teacher, whether you're a college teacher teaching terrorism, or whether you're a kindergarten teacher teaching how to have fun with your friends and how to share, all of those teachers share that one thing: the ability to listen to the student, the ability to learn from the student as you teach the student. A teacher, I think, is a great guide. Guides you through an experience, teaches you how to learn. Have I finished? I think I'm finished.
I appreciate that. No, thank you, my friend. And you can always continue if you'd like more. But no, that makes a lot of sense. I wanted to ask you a question, Mark, if that's okay.
Sure.
A lot of people say it's better to be slapped with the truth than kissed with a lie. Do you feel like today, and this is maybe a general question, but you guys, of course, are teachers and parents and around a lot of the younger folk in this generation. Do you feel like, from your own observations in life today in 2024, that there are a lot of people that don't want to be hit with the truth, that they'd rather be kissed with a lie? Do you feel like coming up, at least in your era, in your generation, that it might have been a bit of the opposite?
Yeah, I definitely think that the world has turned inside out in a lot of ways, and probably will continue to be turned inside out even more over and over and over again. It's really going to be a question of how brutal that transformation is, and a lot of that is that I grew up in a world with my father and my mother,
sure,
that had a great deal of respect for the truth and for honesty, sometimes as hard as it is to take. And we have been, whatever the truth is now, is whatever's the most convincing, whatever's the most saleable. We sell the truth now, and I think it. I don't know. I think I don't think it's a good direction to be going in.
Yeah.
I know we're trying not to be controversial here, but it's hard in this day and age to not be controversial.
Yeah.
Because
I think that's how you frame it, and you frame it so well.
Yeah. And there are a lot, and there apparently are a lot of people in this country who would rather be lied to, sold a cheeseburger from Burger King than eat a really good cheeseburger.
Well, because you're right, and I don't want to have to get political either, but you're right about what you said, and I think it's fine to expand on that, because the last time we actually were kind of, I guess, relying upon a commander in chief who went out of his way to tell us about how essentially he didn't trust the military-industrial complex was Mr. JFK. When prior to him, his predecessor Eisenhower warned him about that.
Eisenhower was the one that first sort of warned about it. Yeah.
Yeah, and the Bay of Pigs happens in 1961, and then all of a sudden he doesn't trust military, and then everyone fell in line after that because they dare not speak out in public. I'm going to frame this in a way to Mr. Cooper about children, about kids, because he's helped so many kids and still does. And then Ray Lloyd. Michael, do you kind of feel as if right now it's more of the parental responsibility to wake these kids up and say, hey, if you want to be able to live in reality, you have to be able to take those hits and fail and fail and fail over and over again, because it seems like right now we're living in a world where people are expecting a bit of instant gratification, Michael.
Well, I do, Avi. You know what? I have this old saying, I'll lie for you, but I'll never lie to you. And I think our world now is just so infiltrated with social media is about lies to where they actually believe them. And I'm pretty sure all of us, I came up in the 60s and 70s, and there wasn't a lot of money to go around, but the only thing that you had was honesty,
right?
And the truth. Your word meant something. If I told you something, I could take that to the bank, and that's not the way our kids are living now. You know, kids now don't have to get in your face, bully you on the school ground. They can do it in their room, social media, behind a little machine, and you'll never know who it is until you eventually know who it is, and it's causing a lot of friction. So lying to me is that's one of the things, and I agree with Mark. The three things I would like to say is honesty is one thing. If I was talking to my employer, honesty is a moral virtue that involves being truthful and trustworthy, and it's a key component in our society. I think the second thing I would do is being on time. I think that's very, very important, and that all goes together with lying. You know, if you're a liar, most of the time you'll be late to things. And then last but not least,
I like that. Yeah.
Last but not least, for me, hard work.
Sure.
I think hard work pays off. And if you're a liar, you're not going to work, you know. So for me, lying is the worst thing. But those are the three things that I would be looking for in my employer, telling him that that's who I'm going to be. If you're 2 minutes early, you're still me. If I'm there early and I'm leaving late. So those are the qualities I look for, and lying is not one of them.
I like that. And again, guys, that's Mark Metcalf. That's Michael Cooper, of course, answering and giving us his three most important principles. I'm going to kick it over to Ray Lloyd in a minute, but Michael, since you gave us yours, and I appreciate that a ton, there's another quote that I want to bring up because it reminds me of your journey. If you can't figure out your purpose, figure out your passion. A lot of people are lost today because you had mentioned that there's so many people speaking all at once. It's kind of like that scene in that Jim Carrey film with Morgan Freeman where he hears God and all the prayers are in his head and it's overwhelming him. It feels like there's a lot of people in the room screaming at the same time. Does that deter, you think, the young people from finding their purpose because they're being pulled everywhere, left and right?
Avi, is this for me or Ray?
For you, Michael.
Okay. Yeah, I do believe. I think it's just so much going on in young people today, and with everything that's out there, a lot of information. And I think that's the most important thing, is that you have to be very, very cautious about where you're receiving your information from and who you're receiving it from. And I think that's where our world is today. And as Mark said, it's just going to get a little bit more worse and worse. But I think as a father, I have 4 kids, and my youngest son is 19. He attends UC Davis.
Sure.
And I'm constantly trying to help him figure the road out, figure the journey out. My other kids are grown and on their own path, but this one here. So when I go out and speak to kids, a lot of them are a little bit younger, 10, 12 years old. They need the help. I know growing up, for me, when I was coming up in the world, and Mark and Ray, you probably remember this one. I was going to the neighborhood. If I got in trouble at school, Mrs. Smith down the block got me, Mr. Jones down the block got me. So I got it from 4 or 5 different people before I even got home.
Right.
And that's when I was lying and all of that. So I think it's going to be hard to get back to that type of living, but I think we have to do the best we can as parents. And, you know, if we can reach one, we can teach one. And that's how I always try to apply myself out there with kids.
Thank you, because as I kick it over to Ray, you know, you guys give so much sage advice, and that's really why I do the show. The backdrop is, of course, we know that it's a tournament, and there's a lot of money on the line, and there's grease. But to be able to pick up these pearls, I feel like kids today maybe don't have anywhere to turn. So to be able to listen to a Mark Metcalf and a Michael Cooper and a Ray Lloyd, I think it benefits them greatly. Ray, what are your thoughts here? Because you, my friend, have been an educator for many, many years.
Well, you know what? It's funny. The three things that I was going to mention actually kind of it involves some of the stuff that Mark and Michael have already said, which is and really, we all know as teachers, and coaches and trainers, there's no one size fits all way to teach, and there's no one size fits all way to learn. But I feel like one of the things that for me, has, and the three that I'm going to mention, I don't necessarily put them in any order. These are the ones that just kind of came to mind when I read the question. One is structure. Having structure, because I've seen myself, at times I didn't realize how much I needed structure until the structure was there, and I realized how much better I learned and how much more I got accomplished when there was structure. And I've seen it as a person who's been the student, and you see teachers who may be great teachers, they know their stuff, but they don't have structure in the classroom, and not a lot gets accomplished. So for me, that's a really big one is structure, and that way, and that sets expectations, for students too, with knowing that things are going to be this certain way, things like being on time and being early, like you said, Michael, because my teachers and coaches were the same way. If the meeting was 8 o'clock and you were there at 8 o'clock, you were late, and so that was one that really stuck out to me. And as I think Mark said earlier, empathy, or maybe Michael, I can't remember which one had mentioned it, but, being able to have the ability to put yourself in someone else's shoes. And that was the hard lesson I learned early on when I became a teacher, because I was very fortunate to grow up with great supportive parents, and we didn't have a lot, but except we had a lot of love in our house, and my parents were brutally honest with me and my twin brother, when they needed to be. So that honesty is something that really was something that benefited us too. But I learned early on as a teacher. I had some really great mentors in my years as a teacher. And one of my teaching mentors, I remember, because I was trying to get students, and I was teaching middle school, and I was trying to get students in, to kind of get in line with what I wanted them to do. And some of them, they weren't, and I couldn't understand why they just didn't understand. Hey, this is what I want you to do, A, B, C, and D. And what I realized is that a lot of the students where I was teaching, came from, really unstable home lives, and a lot of times, school was the safest, place, and the only place where they had some structure. And so it was going to take them a little bit longer to get used to that structure, because they didn't have that anywhere else. And that was just a humbling lesson for me to learn, is that by putting myself in their shoes and realizing it's not that they don't want to learn. It's not that they don't believe in structure. It's just that, they don't have anything to relate, or not a lot to relate that to. So it's going to take a little bit longer, and it's going to take a little bit more patience on my part as a teacher to work with the students, because every student is different. We know that. And so, that was a big thing for me was and through empathy, really learning how to care for your students, and also making sure they see that you care, because, it's like that old saying that, nobody cares about how much you know until they know how much you care. Right? So, that was something that was a hard lesson that I learned as well. And because when I came out of college, looking to teach, I just thought, okay, I got this figured out. I could go in and, I learned how to do this, and this, and they'll all just fall in the line. And I found out real quick that wasn't the case. So, but with those two things being said, the one thing that I always come back to, and once again, I credit one of my teaching mentors for teaching me this, what I feel is one of the best lessons I ever learned about, a good quality or a good principle for being a teacher is to never forget that, if you find a way to make it fun, the odds of them learning and retaining a lot more of the lesson goes way up. And my mentor used to always say, hide the lesson in the fun. Make sure if they're having fun, they'll work hard for you, and they'll listen, and they'll look forward to coming back and seeing what you had to teach or share the next day. And so with our wrestling school up in Atlanta, which is called the Nightmare Factory, which is with my two other great colleagues, QT Marshall and Cody Rhodes. And Cody is the son of the legendary American Dream Dusty Rhodes. And Cody, of course, now is the big champion there for WWE. But when we would go through the drills, when we'd have our 12-week camps, we'd start the drills and we'd have 25 students that came from all over the world really to come train with us. And I would always say to them, the fact that we were all going to have fun, we were going to work hard, but we were going to have fun. Because I would always say, guys, these drills are never going to not suck. These drills, you're going to have to work hard. But if we work together and we cheer each other on and we have fun while we're working hard, we're going to get a lot more out of it. Everybody's going to get a lot more out of it. And so that's a big thing for me is to make sure that no matter what you're doing, no matter how hard you're working, that you're having fun with it. It's just, it allows for a lot better learning, when you do that.
I appreciate that. Yeah. And I remember you mentioning that story to me. You've taught a lot. I got to ask this because you've had some of the, I guess, some disciplinarians that were teaching the craft of pro wrestling. The stories I hear of Pat Riley and his practices.
Oh, wow.
God almighty. It seems like he didn't let up in New York or Miami either. I mean, those practices were practices and you felt it. Michael, do you feel as if, and this is for Michael first, then Mark and Ray, Michael, have there been situations where you've noticed that players had the willingness to succeed, maybe not so much the talent, but the drive? What do you do with the player as a coach? What do you do with the player when you notice that they have the will to win and succeed, but the talent isn't there? Do you have that conversation with the player and tell them, look, I know that this is something you're putting your life on the line for, but you see something that they don't because of your experience? Do you have that conversation with that player, or would that be too deflating for them to hear?
No, I think you have that conversation, but I think the profession that I'm in, the sports, I think camaraderie and teamwork can help that player overcome some of his deficiencies. And that's what I love about team sports.
Sure.
If this is tennis or golf, you have to make those corrections yourself. So, but as a coach, that's my job, is to kind of like put him in the best situation he can. But when you are talking with that young man or that player, you kind of got to help them gain that confidence, because I think that's a little bit about that, is through their confidence. But the team can also help work them through that. I was that player at one point in time. When I first got with the Lakers, I didn't know what I was doing. I had the talent, but I had the drive, but I didn't know how to put that together to work with the other teams at an elite level. And I think that's the one thing that makes great coaches. Pat Riley was wonderful at that. I had a great coach, Coach Turgeon, in high school, who's more came at it from the religious aspect of working with having God and sports together. And I didn't know that those could go together, and you can serve both of them equally well. Obviously, I serve my Lord a little bit more, but he gave me a special kind of talent to be successful on the court. So I think that's when your coaches become an important factor. Parents, educators, they become an important factor in helping that young man achieve his or put him on that right journey, so he could take the right steps to be as successful as he can.
So well said. Yeah. And I think that resonates with a lot of people who have been in the shoes of many of these luminaries, including yourself. Ray, what about that? I mean, if there's a talent that you've noticed, and you've had many of them, you've told me, that have the heart and the desire to succeed, and even that word that starts with the letter E that is becoming rare, it's called etiquette. And we always preach etiquette. Yeah. They have the etiquette as well. They have the drive, but you notice that maybe perhaps they just don't have it to succeed. Do you have that conversation with them, Ray?
Well, I did the same thing as Michael said. Yeah, you have to be honest with them, and because if you're not serving them really, and but having that conversation, I feel like one of the things that, and I learned from, Avi, I've talked to you about, one of my mentors is a guy named Chip Smith, and Chip's trains a lot of professional athletes, and and the one thing that Chip always comes back to is, let's concentrate on what we can control.
Sure.
And those things that we know we can do to get better. And then, and you put a game plan together for those things. But I go back to like what Michael said is, then, a lot of times surrounding them with people who are supportive, and you build that camaraderie, and them being a little bit better is going to push that person to become better. And so you figure out, okay, what do they need to work on, and you put them with people that can help elevate their game, whatever that is, right. So yeah. But I think mainly it's just concentrating on what you can control. Because one of the things that I've learned over the years too is that a lot, especially, a lot of the younger talent I see today is, in their mind, they think they're working hard, but, so to sit them down and say, look, you can do a lot more. And so we got to figure out how to get you there where you're doing a lot more. And if you do a lot more, then the results are going to come. So, they may have that, say that marginal talent, but they're by their standards, they think they're working hard, but there's a whole lot more they can do. And when they gain that confidence that they can work harder and do more, then, a lot of times the results do come.
And you hear a lot of times too, that they're able to apply what they learned, again, coming up, whether it's in a pro wrestling camp or in a basketball camp. And I'm going to address Mark in a minute about this question. But for Ray and Michael, I guess I would bring this up. They can apply what they've learned in your camps into other areas of their life and still succeed. And maybe not that you're doing it for this reason, but maybe they can attribute that to what they learned in your camps, even if they succeeded in a different field altogether.
Sure, absolutely.
Right, the appliance of knowledge, to be able to apply that is so very fruitful. I bring up this story all the time. When I was writing for Carl Reiner with 5 other writers, I couldn't believe it because Carl Reiner is Carl Reiner, and I'm sitting there as a young pup screenwriter, and I'm working. I had to pay my dues and sleep in the back of station wagons and eat bologna blowouts. Ray, you remember the bologna blowout diet? I couldn't afford anything else, and I was writing anything I could just to get paid 50 cents if I could. And here is Carl Reiner. He's sitting there. And I remember one of the writers giving him this diatribe about monologues versus soliloquies and telling him that he'd love to have him analyze his stand-up comic ability in a comedy club. He said, hey, do you have any advice for me? And after 10 minutes, Carl Reiner looked at him and said, yeah, don't stink, number one. And number 2, don't lie. And he goes, what do you mean? I don't think I ever told you lie. He goes, no, it's the way you presented your passion. Some might interpret that as a lie or being boastful. Don't ever lie. Stay grounded because this business is hard to keep you grounded. If you don't stay grounded, your agent and your gatekeepers and your publicists will tell you things that you'll believe, but everybody around you won't. And when that goes away, the people who believed in you will have went away already as well. And then you're all alone. And I said, oh my God, this is like mind-blowing stuff right here. And that's kind of the question I have for Mark before we delve into our final topic 2. Mark, maybe less is more. I'd frame the question differently for you. Have you ever seen people that are not generous on stage? They don't give back on stage. They upstage, essentially. And in essence, maybe did you ever have to have a conversation with somebody, and they can remain nameless, but did you ever have to have that conversation with someone maybe who was younger and let them know that modesty is best and that this is an ensemble? They get better by working with others, not against them.
I have a couple of instances that I remember where I had to, I worked with an English actor early on when I was in college who was great. He was a professional at upstaging. Sure. I would always find myself with my back to the audience whenever I had a scene with him because he. Right. I learned from that. Basically, what I learned ultimately was not to compete with it. Wasn't what it was about. What it's about on stage is engagement with the other, connection with the other. I worked with a young actor when I was doing the Scottish play. I was doing Macduff, and he was doing Malcolm. And in the great, very complicated scene in the, I can't remember whether it's the 4th act or the 5th act, when Macduff goes to try to get him to come back and be the king. The kid was not. He was just saying lines. He was looking at like my forehead or my chin or over my shoulder, not saying lines. I had to put my hands out in the middle of a performance and take his face in my hand and bring him right into me like 2 inches away, which is film closeness, not stage closeness, and engage him. And he startled him so much. He knew his lines well enough. He went on, but from that moment on, the scene changed and the scene became alive. Wow. But everything in the theater, as it is, as I said earlier about basketball, as I always perceived basketball as being ballet and jazz, it's about listening and it's about being with the other. And it's not about, in sports, it ultimately is about winning. But on stage, it's not about winning. It's not about being the one that everyone is looking at, because that's easy. You can drop your pants and take a dump on the stage, and then everyone will look at you. Forgive me. Forgive my analogy. But what happens, the magic happens, the magic of the theater, and the magic, I think, especially in basketball, and I suspect too, I've never been a big fan of wrestling. I haven't watched a lot of it, but the magic of the theater is always what happens between two people in what Shakespeare calls the airy nothing, that is right between two people. It's not him or me. It's here in the midst of us all.
The subtext, yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
The subtext, you're right about that. And I'm glad you brought up ensemble, because again, it's supposed to be a healthy marriage. Of course, that advice could have probably worked 6 years ago with my ex if you were there. But then again, 100% of divorces are caused by marriage. So there you go.
Be nice, Avi. You be nice.
I promise. I will be nice.
And as Samuel Beckett said, fail better, fail better, fail better. So you fail, you know better.
Or as Kareem used to say, it's cheaper to keep her.
I missed that one. Darn. Guys and girls and pals, some sage advice from Mr. Mark Metcalf, Michael Cooper, and Ray Lloyd. We're about to enter into our final topic. We've had a nice conversation already. This is about 3 minutes, so I'll play this. And immediately after topic number 2, which is our final topic, I have put together personally a tribute video, about 60 seconds for Michael and for Mark and for Ray. Hope you enjoyed that. I'll play it while they're here as well. And guys and gals, round 3, of course, will be in the summer of 2025. We're taking our time over here because at the end of the day, we are very happy that there are studios looking at the celebrity tournament and seeing the promise. But remember, guys, there is no promise or guarantee other than you will learn and have fun, because if this thing takes off, it is not because of yours truly. It is because of Michael Cooper, Mark Metcalf, Lloyd, who are so generous with their time and their sage advice, because they are to help others grow.
We are going to be in store for an amazing match, guys. So tune in tonight because it's going to be awesome.
Wait a minute. I'm a New Yorker as well, just like Howard Columbus there. Or palm tree. I don't know. There's palm. Yorkies. I spotted the palm tree. Time you deliver a prediction and a promo, make sure we see both your hands, because it kind of felt like, maybe it's the writer in me, that you were dragging a body bag somewhere over there. New York, man. That's what it looked like to me over there, Howard. But at the end of the day, guys, we appreciate your opinions. Again, we all benefit greatly from the sage advice of Mark Metcalf, Michael Cooper, and Ray Lloyd. We're going to delve into topic number 2, and that'll be a wrap.
All right. Wow. These guys, man, they've made this difficult, which is a good thing. I'm going to process this back here on the backside of the Mohawk for a minute. And I want to address the 1,000+ folks out there currently watching this competitive camaraderie conversation that you're not going to see anywhere else. Keep in mind, we now have, for the second week in a row, a post show. It's the TKN post show. You'll see me. You're going to see the other green room players that you're going to see tonight. But to get that and to get the results of tonight's contest, when this show closes, simply refresh your YouTube and then look under the live tab once again, and you will see the link to the post show, and you can click right in. You can get your results, and you can hang out with us and see what we have to say about that and a lot of other things. So, with that said, wow. There's nothing to disagree with anything any of these gentlemen said. There at the end, man, Mark Metcalf is a consummate storyteller. Just his flow, telling the story of, dragging that guy in to involve the space, just mesmerizing. As was his answer to the topic. Hello, Tom. Good to see you. And so he went first. I'm thinking, wow, there's no way these guys can top that. And I don't say they topped it per se, but Michael went next, and he brought up a lot of the same points. But he also brought in the fact that with, today's kids, and this has actually been going on for a while since the internet, really hit households, there's all this other distracting noise from what they're getting in classrooms and even from their parents. And it makes their life much more difficult than mine was as a kid. I had very honest parents, and I didn't have all that distractive noise. I had good teachers, very blessed in having that. And then, Ray came on, and, he again, acknowledged what Mark said. He acknowledged what Michael said. But then he brought up, two other points that myself, I do have a background as an adult trainer, in corporate settings. And, the fun part and the structure. He hit all the other topics. And I think this, and I always say this comes down to the topics. And, I think this topic played to Ray with his background in, regular education. Hello, Eric, good to see you. In his public education. And he brought those two up in addition to what Mark and Michael had brought up. And for that reason, and by the slimmest of margins, these guys are they're right where they belong. They earned their spot here. By the smallest of margins, I have to give my vote to Glacier Ray Lloyd on this one. So that's my take on it. With that, I'm going to turn this over to the TKN top 10 guy, Chad. So let's hear from Mr. Chad.
Hey, Kelly, thank you very much. Hey, everybody in the comment section, pleased to see you all tonight. Thanks for having me as a judge on tonight's amazing show. Yes, please stay tuned. Avi is in the back right now with the celebrity speaking as we get some tallies and whatnot going on. And a quick reminder, after topic 2 and the outro is finished, please, as Kelly said, refresh on your lives and you will see a new link for the post show. Click on it, boom, you're in. You will get tonight's winners and the awesome post show number 2. So bringing it all down, tonight's first topic, just totally amazing. All 3 competitors have brought it tonight, and just wow, what a night of incredible just awesomeness. It's the last show for TKN of the year, right? So wow. Mark, I love all 3 of your answers. You hit on a lot of important factors that is key, and really key, for teachers to abide by. And Coop, you came in strong, and your answers were pretty close to being like Mark's, but they varied a little bit. And which is not a bad thing. It's great because, where you were different, it brought new light into what Mark had to say. And that was very valuable information. But then Ray came out, and I have to agree with what Kelly has to say about this, because Ray is such a great teacher, down to earth. He has a love for teaching. And if it wasn't for Ray being a teacher and having that personal side to his story to go along with his answers, it would have been somebody totally different. But for tonight, on topic 1, I'm definitely going to have to give this one to Ray Glacier Lloyd. Larry, how are you going to vote on this one, my friend?
I'm not entirely sure. Amazing conversation between everyone. The topic was amazing. Don't forget, in order to find out who wins tonight, tune into the post show directly after the Celebrity Grand Tournament round tonight, where you will find out the results of who will be advancing, who will be going home. And also, this is only the first topic. We have another one to go right after this to find out what they have to continue on and what they will discuss next. The conversation has been incredible. So go ahead and vote right now. Speaking of which, I am taking a look at mine. We have got Mark, amazing points. I loved all of them. The honesty, compassion, empathy. And then Michael, pretty much along the same lines, just with different views on it. And the same with Ray. This one's definitely tough. I loved what Ray said, though, about hide the lesson in the fun, and they will remember. I don't feel that any of these guys can, they obviously didn't fail and didn't have to do any better. For this round, I'm going to have to vote for Glacier Ray Lloyd. He just resonated with me more. Remember, vote now. Tune in for the post show in order to find out what's coming up next or who continues on, and stick around for after topic 2, because we do have our outro where we will find out who is competing next week. Miranda, I'm curious what you have to say about this.
Thank you, Larry. Oh my gosh, guys, this has been insane so far. I am so excited to hear what these competitors have had to say, and everyone has made such good points. It's a very close call for me, but I think I'm going to have to go with Ray as well, just because he summed everything up so well and spoke about empathy, which I think is very important because some children don't get that at home. Like he was saying, you go to school and the teachers are, sometimes your only support that you have in your life, and also to make things fun, because I know a lot of my classes were not so fun and I tuned out, but things can be fun and you can learn at the same time, just like TKN, right? We have edutainment here. So I'm going to go with Ray. And guys, stick around for the post show so you can see the results, and vote in the comments right now. Topic number 2 coming up. And now I am very excited to hear what Jazelle has to say about these competitors.
I am very excited because I have a lot to say, starting with the post show. The second episode of the post show will commence immediately after this match, after the outro, where we do have our first look at next week's match. The post show is the place to be for the results of this match right here that we are witnessing, with more to come, because we still have topic number 2 after all of our live judges have voted. And go ahead and get your votes. Type those in the comment section now. We are pulling them up. We want to count every single one of those votes. I love this topic. This is a topic that is very near and dear to my heart as an educator, as a coach, as a theater practitioner, wanting to spread my knowledge to the world, knowing exactly what the arts can teach us. All 3 had a lot of very similar points, so we can see what really is important. What do they want in an educator, in a coach, in a trainer, in a mentor, in someone who's going to stand up for them? My vote for this first topic is going to Glacier Ray Lloyd. Not only did he touch on the structure and the routine and the empathy, but also finding a way to make it fun, and even recognizing and stating to his students, we're going to do these drills. I know the drills are boring. The drills have to be done because that's going to get us further. That's going to help us develop and grow in the skill, in the craft. We're still going to make it fun. We're going to do the best we can, but we have to do the drills. And that is something that very much stuck with me. And I want all of you to stick around for that post show so you can get the results, get your votes in now. We have topic 2 coming up. And before that, I would like to bring on one Howard Collado.
Puro fuego. Love your insight, Jazelle. Guys, are you itching to find out who's going to win, right? I know I am, all right? So if you are, make sure you stick around for the post show, because within the first 10 minutes of the post show, we will be announcing the winners. That is right. So stick around. Also, guys, did you love that first topic? I know I did. Mr. Klein, amazing first topic. If you love that first topic, there is one more to go and some more amazing insights from the amazing panel. Okay. And guys, make sure you are voting now. Make sure those thumbs are working and you're putting in your heart, you're putting in your soul into what you guys are thinking. All right. So an amazing topic, also one that is very near and dear to me as well, being a after school art teacher. Hey, Lester, what's up, buddy? Always awesome to kind of just see your awesome. Hey, Sharon, always good to have you. Awesome. Hey, Allison, tonight has been awesome, Allison. Julio Negron. Oh man, love it. So Metcalf came in and some really good, solid points about, you know, the ability to listen to a student, and that a student is also vice versa a teacher to you. And I really love that point that he made. Cooper just came in with some amazing insights, you know, just as a player and just in general as an amazing human being who's learned so much and accumulated so much knowledge over his life. But Ray really talked about structure, which is so important. Something I know I can definitely learn a lot from factor. Empathy, having empathy for those that, hey, Gloria, what's up? Westcott, Gloria Westcott. I love your last name, Gloria. That's such a cool name, cool last name. So talking about, you know, empathy and being able to, you know, understand where your student's coming from, and that little tidbit he shared where he understood that the reason his students weren't doing what he wanted was, hey, Time, always good to have you, Time, is understanding that they came from unstable homes. And I thought that, hey, Allison, always good to have you. And understanding where they were coming from. Yo, Phil, my fellow friend from the Bronx. Eric, always good to have you, buddy. And I think that personal anecdote really spoke to me. He spoke about being able to, you know, just have fun as well, right? Some drills are going to be painful, but you got to create that fun environment in order for your students to kind of thrive. So my vote goes to Ray as well. So that said, oh my God, I am excited to see what else this amazing panel has to say. So going to throw it off to this amazing panel.
And pals who are watching. Topic number 2 is all about thought-provoking questions. I call this Room to Assume. And we're going to start things off, guys and gals and pals who are listening. This time, we're going to start off with Ray Lloyd first, then Michael Cooper, then Mark Metcalf. Ray, could you please name a time in your life where questioning your assumptions served you well? The floor is yours whenever you're ready, good sir.
Yeah, you know what? When I heard this question, I kind of thought, I even text you, because and as I was taking some notes and kind of putting my thoughts down, the examples that I thought was a really good example from a movie, you know, one of my really favorite movies of the last few years was The Equalizer with Denzel Washington, and really anything with Denzel, I'm a but there's, you know, in The Equalizer, there's a scene where he's befriends this, you know, lady of the night, this young girl, and meet in this time pretty regularly. They don't to meet, but they end up meeting there all times at the same time. And you know, she reveals to him that she's an aspiring singer, and he shrugs it off. She gives him a CD to listen to her music, and he says to her, you know, I think you can be. She said, I don't think I could be a singer. I don't think I could be a singer. He said, you can be anything you want. And you know, of course, in the movies, Robert, and she says, well, Robert, maybe in your world. And he says, well, then you need to change your world. You know, and so, you know, she's assuming that in her world that she has to stay in that world. And as long as she does, nothing's going to change. But, you know, in that scene, you know, he's basically, you know, he gives her some honesty, like, hey, look, you know, you want to do something different, then, you know, it's in your hands to do something different. So, but one of the things that I thought of, just a personal experience, was back when I was in high school. It was, you know, I played with football. We we had a freshman football team, and all my buddies, including my buddy Kip, Michael, I was telling you about, we were all on the freshman football team, and then that we had spring football, and in my freshman year, that spring, I actually got I made the varsity, practice with the varsity, which, here I was thinking I was, pretty good. And I, as I look back on it, I realized that, I played center, and I just realized they didn't have a lot of guys playing center. That was probably the reason I got called up as a freshman. So anyway, I thought, that, I felt like I was, kind of doing something that was a pretty big deal to kind of, be on the varsity that early. And so I ended up, I still had my core group of guys that I hung out with, which is my twin brother. And there was like 4 of my buddies. We all came up together. But I started actually hanging out with this group of guys too that were rising seniors. And, we all kind of grew up in the same kind of neighborhood area. And but these guys, I thought it would be, I assumed that by hanging out with them, because they were, I thought they were kind of the, the quote unquote cool guys at school, that it would kind of put me in the cool crowd. I thought that, that was my way of thinking back then, being naive and foolish. And so I started spending a little bit more time hanging out with them. And then one day we were in Brunswick, Georgia, where I grew up, is basically a beachfront community with St. Simon's Island, Jekyll Island, areas like that. It's about an hour south of Savannah, Georgia. And so one day we were at the beach, and I'm hanging out with these guys, and some of them in the group I knew pretty good. Some of them I didn't really know that well. And went out to the water and swim around a little bit. And I remember I had $20 in my wallet, and I left my wallet, in the cooler that we all had there for some food. And I came back and my $20 was gone. And I was asking around like, hey, who took, somebody took my $20, and no one in the group, would own up to it. And in that moment, I realized, that these guys weren't really my good friends, and they were kind of playing me a little bit, And so I remember sitting down with my dad, and because I was really bothered by it. I was ticked off, but I didn't feel like I could do a lot because these guys were older than me, and I wasn't sure I could really stand up to them, And my dad sat me down, and he just said, look, like, you got to ask yourself, like, why are you hanging out with these guys? I mean, what are you getting from that? And I just realized that, when I had that hard conversation with myself, that I had assumed that hanging out with these guys was going to bring something into my life that I didn't have. And I realized that wasn't the case. And so I immediately cut ties with those guys. And this is, it's funny how, you look back years later, but, I went on and my buddies, there's a core group of 5 of us. And like I said, we were all pretty good athletes, and we all went to college, and played sports in college, and we're still close friends to this day. And those guys in that group of that I thought were the cool ones, those guys, most of them didn't go on to do a whole lot after high school. And not that they turned out to be bums or anything like that, but they didn't go on to do a whole lot. And because I don't think any of them really had a plan on what they wanted to do. And so that was where kind of, assumptions, it kind of, I learned a hard lesson in the beginning, but it served me well in the end, making a hard decision to kind of break away from that. So that was what I thought of Avi when I read the question. So I hope that's a good example of when assumptions served me well in the big picture.
Absolutely, yeah, because it was honest and it was something you experienced, and you're sharing that with us. And again, I know this sounds maybe I'd rather be sappy than cynical in life, and I want to share this with you. We're learning more about you and your experience because you're trusting us with that, and that means a lot. You're trusting us with your story that was very personal. And also, I think we can all relate to a lot of times and moments where we've had friends that we thought were friends and that were endearing and had our best interest in their hearts. But sometimes we can confuse salt with sugar because they look the same. So you never really know who's out for you, who really cares about you at the end of the day. That's a great one, Ray, and I appreciate you sharing that with us as well. I do want to read this before I kick it over to Michael Cooper right now. We've got Mr. Lou Ferrigno, we've got Jim McMahon, we got Jesse Ventura. Guys, they watched the show. They knew about this match a couple days before. Jesse says to Mark Metcalf, hope I see you again in this tournament, my friend. You taught me a lot. Last time we had a conversation, I was actually quiet for the first 3 minutes because I loved your work in Animal House. That's from Jesse Ventura to Mark Metcalf. We had a message from Teddy Long to Michael Cooper, who got to know Michael in round number 1. Teddy Long, WWE Hall of Famer. Here's Teddy. Avi, you gave Michael my number, right? Please tell him to call me. It's been a year. That's from Teddy Long. And then from Ray Lloyd, who gets a message from Dr. Matt Fink, who was part of Prince and the Revolution, 3-time Grammy winner.
Yeah.
He says, I wish Gray some great luck. He won't need it because when it comes to conversations, the man does that so very well. That's from Dr. Fink, Ray Lloyd.
Oh, man. Wow. Yeah.
Cool text.
Dr. Fink, he's awesome.
He really is. I'll say this. Eddie Johnson, I just did the Sean Marion roast for Eddie Johnson's event in Arizona, the Sean Marion roast. Eddie's in round number 2, and he asked me to ask Michael, what would Michael think if Michael ended up facing an Eddie Johnson in round 3 of this tournament?
I kick his ass like I did when he played in the game, man. I go get him. Mark, you know the way we used to go to the Phoenix Suns. I go get him.
I love that.
That's awesome.
How about Ray Lloyd? We got Stevie Ray, who's about to join this tournament over here. You know Stevie rather well. He says,
I know Stevie very well.
What if Ray faces me in round number 3? Your thoughts, Mr. Ray Lloyd?
Oh, man. Well, I'll tell you what. I've been Stevie's banged me around the ring, so back in the day. But I survived that, and with us in the ring, so I think I'd survive, if we go head to head here. But I think the world of Stevie, man, and I'd be honored to go up against him and compete with him once again.
Absolutely. And here's a great comment from someone who will be debuting soon, Mark Metcalf.
Oh wow! Tell her thanks a lot. Anytime. She was great to work with. I worked in a church buried underground under Sunnydale, and the only actors I worked with were the little boy and a couple of monsters all made up, even worse than me. And the one scene that I remember the most was a scene that I had with her. And I'll tell you a funny story quickly.
Sure.
I got that part, I asked Joss Whedon, so what's the arc of the character, the master in Buffy the Vampire Slayer? And he said, it's really great because in the last episode, you kill Buffy. And I said, oh, wow, that's nice. Does that mean that if it gets picked up for a second season, it'll be called Master the Buffy Slayer? And he laughed a lot like that. He didn't tell me that she came back to life and killed me. So I think, maybe, I know she didn't want to do a reboot, but I'd do a reboot if they brought her back to life and me back to life. So tell her thanks a lot. She's a sweetheart.
I will, definitely. And it sounds like if that were to happen, actually, there at least would have been an asterisk. Buffy the Vampire Slayer with an asterisk because, of course, Mark Metcalf's character would have ended up slaying her. So there you go. Right now, I'm going to ask the same question to Mr. Michael Cooper. Michael, if you can, my friend, can you please name a time in your life where questioning your assumptions served you well? Whenever you're ready, good sir.
Assumption is something that is taken to be true or factual without proof or evidence. So in the sports world, what I tried to do is I always wanted to be a Laker. I didn't want to be anything else, a Celtic or a Sixer or anything like that. So every year as I played, you always would hear yourself in a trade rumor, or you'd hear something about they're going to trade Michael Cooper. So I was always assuming that the Lakers were going to trade me. So that made me work my ass off. I got in there. 1 year I was a little light in the ass. I ate. I did a lot of protein. I ate. Mark and Ray, I ate steak for about 4 months to get some bulk on the game. So that they wouldn't trade me. So you know what? The assumption is a real interesting word because it's something that I think kids take to heart, really, really take to heart when they hear their friends talk about certain things, and you assume that people are talking about you or something like that. So I assumed that the Lakers were going to trade me. So what I had to do is just keep on working, and it actually pushed me to become a better player because I was always saying, okay, I assume they're going to trade me because they want something better. So I had to be a better offensive player. I had to be a better defensive player. I had to improve my game, improve my skills, especially in the classroom and things like that. So, assumption is a word that can be dangerous. But in my view, at the point that I was using it, it definitely helped me in my basketball career, and which helped me in my life.
Absolutely. Wow. Yeah, there you go. Man, oh man. And it's so funny because you were living in that era where a lot of people talk about your era. It's almost like the day of the quarterback in the 80s. Back then, to be a QB, you had to get hit and tackled because those rules were not to your favor. And God knows that there were a lot of players on the defensive end who got away with a ton. I'll tell you who brags about that in this tournament. We got Rick Mahorn in this tournament, and he always brags about getting away with a lot. We do have Byron Scott as well in this tournament, another Laker legend. He's in this tournament too as well. But Mr. Cooper, man, I got to tell you, the way you were able, and I want our younger fans to know this, if you want to know how to play defense, you just watch Michael Cooper tapes because, as Ray, as you know, Larry Bird has went on record millions of
Yes.
times saying, anytime we played the Lakers, everybody thought Larry versus Magic was what was on my mind. It was Cooper. He was on my mind.
Yeah.
Every time I knew we had the Lakers, whether it was in the Great Western Forum or the Boston Garden, where Red Auerbach turned out the heat in the summer every time. In the locker room, he
They
said,
were cheaters, Avi. They cheated back then.
Right. That's right. He said, I wanted no part of Cooper, but I got every bit of him. So that's what Larry Bird said about Michael.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Good stuff there. Mr. Mark Metcalf, the same question for you, good sir. Please name a time in your life where questioning your assumptions served you well whenever you were ready.
Right here and right now. When you first asked me to do this, I don't know how a year ago or 6 months ago, whenever it was, I had no idea. I got a lot of calls from strange people, and Avi, you are a strange person.
But you mean that in a good way.
What? I mean that in the best possible way, because I think strange is good. Abnormal is good. Who wants to be normal? But usually they just want to talk about Niedermeyer and what it was like to work with John Belushi or what it was like to work with Jerry Seinfeld and all that stuff. And usually it's a in and out, slam, bam, thank you, ma'am, good. I can tell a few stories. I got all that. And then I did that first round that I did with Bruce Davidson, who I knew before, and with Jesse Ventura. And I saw the questions beforehand, because you're nice enough to not make me go blah, 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 by showing me the questions at the last minute. And I actually had to sort of dig kind of deep. I had to think. I had to really sort of come to a kind of an understanding about myself. And then, oops, sorry, I lost the picture. There.
Oh, no, we can
somebody called in and took over my computer. And then I was put with Jesse Ventura, who I had a lot of respect for as a governor, but he was a wrestler, and I don't pay have not in my lifetime paid a lot of attention to professional wrestling. Of course, because it didn't seem to be wrestling the way I knew it in high school. It's show business. And
show business, yeah.
And it is show business. I get it.
It is.
And so is Showtime, right? That's what it was with the Lakers in those.
Yeah.
It's everything is show business in some way. But wrestling had, in my preconceived notion, my assumption, had a kind of a negative connotation in that it's. We just went through an election where the man who was elected president openly and proudly said that he uses the techniques of professional wrestling in terms of show business. It's just hit the high points, hit the high points, hit the high points, and it just went right over my head, or I thought it really was going under me. But I learned a lot, just like I have today here, from Michael and from Ray and from you, Avi. I always learned something from you, and that's what we're here for. Like I said, to teach and serve, but to learn, and to that's what this journey is about, is self-discovery. And I've learned a lot. Those preconceived notions, those assumptions that I made about this event. How do you have a competition about philosophical questions? Philosophy is not a competition. And yet, in this environment, sold as it is with you fast-talking, loud-talking, crazy-talking Avi Klein, this thing has drawn me out of myself and thereby drawn me into myself in some way. And I'm very grateful to you, Avi, and to Michael, and to Ray, and to Jesse Ventura, and to Bruce Davidson, everybody that I have participated with before and that I'm participating with now. And I'm sorry that you guys aren't going to be there in Greece with me.
I love that. Thank you.
Hey, Mark, talk is cheap, baby. Come on.
And it's right about that time. We're going to find out soon again who moves on to round number 3. But at the end of the day, thank you for framing it that way. And I concur. I've learned from you, and I think that's why The show that we have here before us to convince the old students, the exec type that you guys all know about, who sometimes don't really want to believe in the humans, but to get them to talk about what Mark Metcalf said or what Ray said or about what Michael Cooper said is, I think, a win, because when we started this thing, all they was the bottom line. All about were the movies that I knew personally and said, hey, can you get this person and that person? And now they don't care about name recognition. They care about the conversation. But I can honestly say it happened without the three of you, everybody in this tournament, allowing me to grow, because I edit this stuff afterwards and put it on YouTube or put it in of social media platforms that we have. I'm able to really tune in and rewatch what I might have missed when I'm backstage listening to you guys. And these are pearls. These are pearls for men and women who've reached the mountaintop and haven't lost their humanity and are now giving back to people. I mean, I know this sounds kind of simplistic, but that's what life, maybe that's the meaning of life, is acquiring that knowledge and then providing it to the masses the way that you guys do. It's amazing. It really is. So I'm humbled by that. And I really thank you guys for that. It's been a fantastic night.
Thank you, Avi. Yeah, thank you, Avi.
You guys are
Thanks
awesome.
for the
Really
opportunity.
awesome. 100%. What I'm going to do now is play a thank you video for Mark and for Michael and for Ray. Mark, I'm going to start with your video as well. This is a trip down memory lane, if you will. I hope you enjoy this. And I'm going to play this for you right now with you on screen before we bid you adieu. And then Michael and then Ray Lloyd as well. You, my friend, are a class act.
Thank you. Where did you get those pictures of me as a little kid?
A lot of research.
That's cool.
Appreciate
I just
that,
finished a book about my youngest brother, Tim, who is standing there in a hand-me-down suit, who committed suicide at 46. And I just finished a book. It's coming out called Timmy, about him. My son referred to him as Timmy. His name was Tim. And it's a book about mental illness and suicide and how we need to pay more attention to our children. But seeing those pictures of my family brought that back to me. Thank you for that.
Absolutely. And thank you, my friend. Thank you for just trusting us and giving us your heart. I hope you have a beautiful evening. I will be in touch with you soon. And if there's anything you'd like to let our audience know about anything coming down the pike, my friend, please feel free.
Oh no, that I just did the plug automatically. I didn't even think about it for Timmy for the book. I don't know when it'll be out. It's we're just making final decisions about the cover as we speak. But
I love that.
Thanks a lot, and it's a pleasure meeting you and great time working together. Thanks a lot.
Oh, absolutely. Same here, Mark. Same here. Thank you.
You have a great evening, my friend.
Love you, Maestro.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
And Avi, can I say real quick,
Yes.
Mark, before you leave, I just want to just say one thing. I mean, I was so honestly, guys, I was so thrilled to be able to share the screen with you. Avi told me we were going to be paired up, and Mark, honestly, in wrestling, one of the great things that we do, if we do our jobs well, I get blurred between who we are as a person and the persona that we put to the audience, and I mean this with 100% sincerity. I came through high school, in the late 70s and early. So of course, Animal House was, I was, as a teenager, I was right there. So looking back now, especially the role, I mean, and I know you probably heard a million variations of this, but I mean it with all my heart, seriously, because now becoming and learning how hard it is. I mean, it was such an authentic trail. I mean, when I watch now, I feel like the real. It's not a character, and I just think you did such an amazing job of bringing something that was on the paper to life to be something that is still, 40-something years later, such an iconic role that people genuinely still loved and appreciate, and I'm one of them. I just want you to know from the bottom of my heart, this has been a real thrill to share the screen with you guys, and I just that character is just it's so believable. It's almost like Mark Metcalf is someone completely different, but Niedermeyer still exists out there somewhere in the world. So thank you so much for bringing us that and entertaining us all the years, and especially as in my show as well.
Now I'm blushing as Michael was blushing earlier.
Well, you deserve it, my friend.
Respect, man.
Respect.
I'm grateful. That is the job, and I'm thankful to John Landis and Doug Kenny and Chris Miller, the guys that wrote it, because it starts with the writing. But
we're very thankful too.
Very thankful.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you for your heart, Mr. Mark Metcalf, guys and gals and pals. And again, thank you for Mark for giving us your time. I do want to play something for Mr. Michael Cooper right now as well. A trip down memory lane for a classy individual who's given us a lot on the court, no doubt, when we want to be able to escape that world out there. But off the court, man, a Hall of Fame heart and a Hall of Fame human. About family. epitomized every word, my friend. Appreciate you a ton.
I mean, I feel like I died and come back. I mean, thank you, man. That was absolutely wonderful. And Ray, you know what? I want to say something to you. Big fan of yours, man. And you know what? People don't really see the art and science and the real structure behind wrestling. Yeah, you think it's just something done, but it takes an art, man. And
it really
a lot of people. I grew up with Neil Mascaras and some of the older wrestlers.
Yeah.
Sure. I appreciate you, Ray, man. It was an honor sharing the stage with you as well as Mark. And Avi, you know who you are. Other than Chip Hearn, you the best gift of gab guy out there that's living now. But, thank you so much. That was really, really touching. Avi, thank you so much.
You deserve every bit of it. And I showed a display during the screenshot of Jeannie Buss on January, if I'm not mistaken, of 2025 in a game against the Spurs. I believe your number will be honored and hung up to the rafters, Mr. Cooper.
Yes, it will be. And that's the one that's really touching, because I never thought that would happen. I've always played this game for the love of it. But the one thing I did like about the tribute, I had a lot of hair then. My son,
I noticed that. I noticed that.
Bald now, but I had hair.
Looks
Ray,
good,
how
man.
do you keep your hair?
You know what, Michael? I keep telling everybody one of these days I just expect to wake up and it not be there. You know, so I really don't know. I don't know. So you know,
Ray, I'm gonna say this: you got a nice head, so when you lose it, your head is nice.
Thank you. I think I do. Yeah.
Yes, Michael, please, anything you'd like to let our viewers, our audience, our sponsors, anybody know about so much that you have coming down the pike, my friend?
Well, I have a book coming up, as Mark does. My first book all time, and I've done a good, spent the last year and a half, 2 years writing it. And like awesome. Mark, we're quabbling over the title of the book.
Sure.
So I got a couple of things coming. So it should be out hopefully probably in the next year, hopefully by summer. We're looking like February, March, but it may be next summer.
Well, I'm going to be here to make sure the masses know exactly what you're up to. You're doing so much. And my friend, I hope to see you in round number 3.
Okay. Yes. Appreciate you.
And Michael, man, real quick too, you know, I one of my favorite sayings is, you know, do what you love, and what you love will reward you. And, you know, there's a good chance that our paths may have never crossed if I wouldn't have, you know, pursued what I loved. And that's what's kind of gotten me here today. And I just want to say, this has been a huge thrill. I hope you know that. It's been a huge, huge thrill for me to sit here and spend these last couple of hours with you. I mean, I don't think you could ever really have any idea. So I thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you. See you guys.
Have a great night, Michael.
See you, man.
Legendary Michael Cooper, Hall of Fame human being, Hall of Fame talent. And you know,
yeah,
Ray,
what
I
an
gotta
amazing
say
guy.
this as well. I'll say the same thing about you, my friend. I wanted to keep you here last because if I've ever learned how important it is to tell someone you love them, it was recently.
Yeah.
I wanted to share this with you solo, but we both have a lot in common, and our dads being heroes is one of them.
Absolutely.
I held his hand, and he had a moment that I haven't shared yet with anyone. And he took his oxygen mask off, and in wrestling they say he wasn't selling anything. But he did one of these and gestured me over, and I kneeled down before him. And back in his day, he was 6'6", 6'7", big tall guy.
Oh yeah, like I said, I told you, I saw his picture. I said, man, your dad was a man's man, you know.
I'll tell you, and such a kind man, just like you and your father. And I kneeled down. He gave me kind of that like Mickey from Rocky moment. He said, "Do the show," because we haven't missed one show yet since we started the Green Room 4 years ago.
How great
he
is
said,
that?
You're going to Jersey and you're doing it tonight. And he goes, "I'm going to watch it," because he never watched the show, and he was going to watch it. And right before I left the hospital, a little moment of levity here. 5 minutes before I left, he did one of these again. I'm thinking, man, this is going to be another pearl.
Yeah.
I kneel over and he goes, "Give me some of that water." And you know what I learned is you gotta tell people you love them. I'm always going to be there for you if you need it, because you've always been there for me. Yeah, and you have every step of the way. You've been there literally since day number one. You're a brother, and there's no better gift than being able to leave behind a legacy when you leave this planet in which you're still being talked about and revered as if you're here. And I don't want to bring gloom and doom into this conversation, but I do know that when many moons go by and, 100 years go by, Ray Lloyd is still going to be mentioned as one of the genuine salt of the earth people that epitomizes what men should be and what a friend and brother should be. You're
Thank
a brother.
you, man. Thank you, bro. And honestly, I was paying attention there to Michael's, the tribute there for Michael, and that one quote you put up there from Maya Angelou about your legacy is the lives you touch. And man, boy, that really resonated with me because the people who have been those mentors and those people who I really, really looked up to, that's what their legacy was. They touched my life in some way, and you don't do what you do for people, hoping that they'll say, "Oh, that person really touched my life."
Right.
But it's it's nice to know that somehow if you do something that makes a difference, that it makes them makes their path maybe one that is more brighter or meaningful for them, just because you shared something with them or you just cared, and earlier, so you care. It's just in interactions and just showing up for people. I think that's rated, and it always has been, but so very effective.
Oh gosh, we need that. Yeah, and you pursue excellence with humanity, and it's a rare quality. So zip the old lip for you, because you have a trip down memory lane yourself, my friend.
Thank you, bro.
A great big brother to many.
Oh, back. Oh man.
Or Jim McMahon.
I was gonna say Grant earlier.
Yeah.
New page.
Great stuff. Whoa, yes.
Oh, my buddy, yeah, Chad.
Yeah. Hey, Kevin Green.
Oh, wow. Oh, good cat. Oh, wow.
You can meet your heroes, guys and gals.
Absolutely. There's my hero.
There you go.
Oh man, yeah, I haven't looked at those in a while.
Oh, an athlete. Hell man. Legendary Harley race.
Yeah. Wow.
Mr. Reynolds.
Yeah.
Luther. Kevin Klein.
Yeah.
Respect.
Oh yeah. That's one of my favorite pictures of me and my mom. So,
that's what it's all about right there.
yeah, it's a great picture. Who's that guy?
Look at him. He's ready to take on the world. I love it.
Good.
A dear friend of yours.
Yes, Susan. Wow.
Always believed in
Hi,
you.
Mom. Yeah.
Headshot. Mr. Gray.
Eddie. Yeah. Look at that shirt from the 80s.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mr. Aikman.
Yeah.
Oh yes. Of course she said yes. Of course.
Of course. Thank goodness. Oh yeah.
Many more.
Yes.
I won't say this in detail, in great detail, but when it came to the birthday photo, and I think you know what I mean, you made it, and you're going to keep making it when it comes to
yeah.
that
Absolutely,
date, my
man.
friend. 100%.
Yeah, I plan on being here for a long time. So
I want to tell and you will be, and I want to tell the audience we're going to have Unbreakable Bunch specials with Ray, sometimes without Ray. And Ray, we have to take a few minutes here to delve into this incredible epic film, because I remember when it was not just the seed of an idea, it was developing already, but to see the twists and turns that happens in any production, to see you and Luther remain steadfast in your ambitions, and to prove to the masses that you can have a film starring pro wrestlers, but not necessarily about pro wrestling, is amazing.
I tell you what, Avi, it's been a journey. It really has, and you know, you know, like you said, you've been there for a whole lot of it. It's but you know, it is. But it's you know, it's like you know, we're both big fans of John Carpenter. You know, John Carpenter has a great saying that making a movie is an act of courage. You know,
yeah, oh yeah.
and I didn't realize at the time when we started how much of an act of courage it would be, because there were so many obstacles, so many things where I think a lot of people would have just, you know, kind of cashed in and said, well, you know, it's too difficult to get this thing finished, you know, but we really stuck with it. And I would say that, you know, how many times did I call you and I just kind of vented to you about certain things, you know? But, you know, like with Luther and I would, you know, through this whole process, there'd be times I had to talk him off the ledge, you know, and bring him back. And then there's times we had to talk me off the ledge and bring me back. And, you know, so, but, you know, there was one ongoing, you know, statement that we kept saying to each other. And that was that, you know, and I think I mentioned something to this effect earlier in the shows, you know, once it's done, it's out there forever.
Yes.
You know, and that's what really kept me going. I know is that, you know, one, the main thing that kept us going was we made a promise to our investor that we would do our very best job, and we did. We really did. We gave this an effort that I think a lot of people may not have given, and this goes back to the old thing that Evel Knievel used to say: when you give a man your word, you don't go back on it. You know,
right?
and so you know, it's been a journey, but it's been so worth it, and I kept, you know, saying that to myself, you know, and we're still just in the infant stage of release. And we just released on Friday, November 1st. So it's still only, you know, tomorrow will be 2 weeks that it's been out. And we've already gotten a couple of really good reviews about the film. And, you know, and the fans are really supporting it right now. And so I just want to, you know, just kind of say to all our listeners here at the new network is, if we made this movie because we love professional wrestling, and we know there's a whole world of people that love it like we do, and so we made this movie for you. We really did. So it's whether you're in the wrestling business or you're a fan of the wrestling business, or you know someone who's a fan of the wrestling business, this movie is really a celebration of everything that's good and positive about the pro wrestling world. But there's so many layers to the story that it's really genuinely a story about camaraderie and friendship and loyalty. And people don't necessarily expect that when you hear pro wrestlers versus aliens, you know. but that's the hook, you know. And we could have easily made just a one level story, you know, that's a one dimensional story. But we really worked hard. And you gave me some great advice along the way on some of the stuff about, you know, how can we add these layers to the characters and to the stories to make people care about what's happening, so that when this battle does ensue in the third act of the movie, you care about these guys. Yeah, you're invested. You care about these guys, and so it's one of those things where at the end of the day, you know, the movie, I always say it's kind of like the Magnificent Seven meets John Carpenter's They Live. So, so if you're a fan of ensemble cast movies and you're a fan of John Carpenter type movies, especially from the 80s, like They Live, The Thing, Escape from New York,
Young Guns.
All those type of movies. This movie is really for you because it's one that's it's a really fun ride. That's the way I always tell people. It's a really fun ride that I really think that most people will watch it and they'll say, hey, you know what? That wasn't a waste of my hour and a half. You know, it was something.
And I mean
that was
the
really
following
fun
as a compliment. Even seeing the rough cut, I mean this as a compliment. Yeah, the character development is incredible, and you and Luther should take all the credit in the world and the great team you had. But at the end of the day, after about 35 to 40 minutes, much like a De Niro film, it's written so well and performed so well and shot so well that you forget you're staring at a Robert De Niro. You forget you're staring at a Tonga or Ray Lloyd or Larry Zbyszko because you're so entrenched in the story and the characters. And I think that's the best compliment, is that as well-known and recognizable as you legends are, because you are legends, you forget that you're actually watching a story starring legends because you're so enthralled by the story.
Well, thank you, bro. And that's really what we're going for.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, all the characters, you know, I did a podcast just earlier today where I was talking about how, you know, the characters, a lot of main characters are semi-autobiographical, and we did that on purpose.
Sure.
But we didn't just show the character that the wrestling world knows.
Right.
And once again, we wanted to give different layers to that, and add a lot of heart to the characters. You know, and that's what I always feel like most people that will be the pleasant surprise for people is they come in with expectations of, yeah, you're going to see a lot of pro wrestling, you're going to see action and all that, but all of a sudden you see, you know, a story with a lot of heart, and that's what I don't think people will go in expecting. So I hope it'll be a nice surprise for people, even though I'm kind of, you know, laying the groundwork for that. But it's a movie that we felt like was long overdue. It needed to be made, and the only people who are going to do this movie the right way were people who have walked in those shoes, and that's us, you know, and the entertainment industry as a whole. Nothing against the entertainment industry, because it's been great to all of us. Yes. But there's not really anyone who you know knew how to tell that story the way the way we felt like it really should be told. And so, but the other things that we're most proud of, I mean, you know this firsthand too, is you know, in this day and age of film, you know, the parameters on films have been loosened a whole lot. So like, you know, there's you know, if you want to put profanity in your movie, you can do it. If you want to put a lot of gross humor, like projectile vomiting, you can do all that. You know, we've decided to go the opposite of that and really challenge ourselves to make a movie that didn't lean on those things, you know, easily lean on those things. So this movie has literally no profanity. It has no strong sexual content. It has literally no nudity. There's a lot of sex appeal in the movie. I will say that, but there's a big difference there. And but there's no, you know, gross humor, no over the top, you know, gross humor. And here's the really big thing: there's a lot of action, but it's not violent action. No. And there's a big difference, you know, and just because there's action doesn't mean it has to be violent. Doesn't mean that, you know, you have to see, you know, a lot of grotesque stuff. That's and
there's nothing gratuitous about it, right?
Yeah, we always say it's you know, our movie has a lot of A-team action in it, you know.
No, I love that, because it also leaves a lot. You're trusting the audience to be able to leave a lot for the imagination.
Right? Yeah, absolutely.
And I love that. I think that's so. It's missing in today's cinema. Yeah. Man, it is very slick. Ray, we're gonna have an Unbreakable the Bunch specials. Yeah. With different cast members and members, maybe sometimes just you and I, other solo episodes where I'm on talking a bit about this. And guys, our YouTube channel is going to be filled to the brim with Unbreakable Bunch footage as well. Absolutely. It's finally out. I'm excited. I know you are, my friend. And hey, soon we're going to find out if Mr. Ray Lloyd is in round 3 of the TKN Celebrity Tournament.
Absolutely. I just want to say that, you know, if you want to get all the information about where you can find the movie, just go to theunbreakablebunchmovie.com, theunbreakablebunchmovie.com, and we have all the links to all the streaming services and cable services where you can find it. But also, just know too that, you know, we really wanted to make a movie that was literally, when I describe it as, you know, a movie that it's an 80s, the spirit of the 80s, you know, B-style sci-fi action film. So if that's something you loved back in the 80s, you know, someone just texted me the other day and said this reminded them of a Full Moon Features film, you know, from a lot of those they made back in the company Full Moon Productions or whatever. So it's a really fun ride. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but there's, like I said, there's a lot of a great story there and a lot of great nostalgia from that 80s type of filmmaking. So if that's your bag and pro wrestling is something you love, check us out, because we think you'll really enjoy it.
Totally agree. And look at this great website. Guys, you can watch this on Prime Video, Fandango at Home, Microsoft, YouTube, Google Play, Apple TV, Vimeo, cable availability as well. This website gives you so much information, not only on where you can watch this incredible film. You can read the synopsis, watch the trailer. You can go to the IMDb page as well, some profiles and bios of the many stars that are in this film. I can't wait to sink my teeth into this site, because it is improved every single week. And again, this is a film, guys and gals, that is not only a throwback to yesteryear, but it is filmmaking in 2024 done right, starring Mr. Ray Lloyd, Steve Luther Wilson, Ernest Miller, Zabisco, Congo Fafia, and so many girls.
On and on.
Ron Reese, Dan Grell is in this thing. Man, oh man, Stan Hansen, the legendary.
Anna Jay from AEW. Yes, you know,
AEW. The Unbreakable. Now you can check it out again, and you can also tune into TKN as we will update you on all the things regarding the Unbreakable. Ray, my friend, did you have fun tonight?
I had a blast, man. I really did. I had a really good blast. And like I said, just talking to two people who, you know, if it were for me getting the wrestling, become your friends, I probably had a chance to Mark Metcalf or Michael Cooper, who are two I genuinely have just so enjoyed talking to and getting to meet. So thank you from the bottom of you, just let me be a part of this.
Getting their text, they feel about you, brother. So again, thank you so much. We will see you very soon, my good friend.
Thank you, bro. I'll see you.
Absolutely. Love Mr. Ray Lloyd, guys and gals, and it's hard to not love this man because he loves all of you and he loves everything that you guys bring to the table. So let's find out now who will be moving on to round number 3.
Oh, wow. You gentlemen definitely made judging this very, very hard for me tonight. But first, everybody, please start voting now in the comments. The results will be broadcast 2 minutes after tonight's amazing outro. All you need to do is refresh your page and bang, you're going to be in tonight's amazing second broadcast of the post show, where within minutes you will find out who won tonight. So with that being said, gentlemen, what an amazing night. As I said, you guys made this very, very hard. I mean, your assumptions and when they served you well. Man, you guys, wow, made this so hard. Oh my God. And when he's have to go home, and I don't want to see any of yous. Let's just say all 3 of yous really brought it. And I had to think so long and hard. It was a back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It was Ray, Mark, Michael in my head who I was going to vote for. And I mean, it ultimately comes down to who resonated with me the most. And therefore, for tonight, gentlemen, not to take anything away from you, but for this second topic, I have to award this to Mr. Mark Metcalf. Mark, you just nailed your topic just a little bit more, I thought, than your opponents. So for that, I give you my points for tonight. How would you vote for this amazing and awesome match tonight, Howard?
Whoa. Guys, at some point, you just take a pen that you're writing on and you just go, whoop, you just throw it away, because you just stop and you just start listening to what these amazing human beings are giving you and what they're saying and what they're bringing to the table in terms of their own personal experience. But before I jump into it, guys, really quick, are you curious? Just dying with curiosity as to who is going to win tonight? Well, if you are, okay, stay tuned for the post show, guys, because within the first 10 minutes of the post show, we are going to announce the winners. All right. So you guys also can be voting right now as I speak. All right. So make sure you're voting, guys. And before we are done tonight with this broadcast, did you enjoy that match? Did you think, look at these amazing, versatile, eclectic personalities all coming together? Well, guys, stay tuned, because we are going to play an outro for you guys, which will let you know who will be our first match of 2025. That's right, guys. So stay tuned for all that amazing stuff coming down the pike. Okay, that outro is going to let you know who we got next Saturday night. So yes. Stay tuned. All right. So as I was saying, Ray brought up this really beautiful personal anecdote story of him as a kid, and I think they might have stolen his money, or and his dad asked him, what are you getting out of this relationship with these guys who are not, treating you fairly, or treating you, not giving him any respect. And that was a beautiful kind of moment that he really painted there. I love how Cooper, thinking he was going to get cut, used that as motivation to work even harder to make sure he stayed on the team. And he also defined assumptions, which I think was really, really interesting as well. But holy cow, I'm going to quote him. Not going to I can't do him any justice, but I'm just going to quote this. This thing has drawn me out of myself and into myself. Mark Metcalf. speaking about his experience with this amazing show and what Avi has exposed him to, and really the journey Avi has kind of guided him in experiencing what this tournament is. My vote goes to Mark Metcalf. I mean, I don't know how else you cut that. I mean, all three did amazing, but my vote goes to Mark Metcalf. Jazelle, I am so curious what you are thinking, but and I'm sure you're probably emotional somewhere back there. But Jazelle, what are you thinking?
Well, first, I'm thinking that if we need to hear the results of this amazing match, you need to tune into the post show 2 minutes after this broadcast ends. Hit that refresh button. We will be live with the post show very shortly after the outro, which of course you need to stick around for anyway, because you need to know what the first match of 2025 is going to be. I want to know, is it a round 2 match? Are we beginning with an 11th hour match? We will find out just as soon as our voting ends here with the live judges. And go ahead and get your votes in that comment section now. We're pulling them up on screen. We see your votes there. They are being tallied in the back. And the results will be known on the post show. Again, immediately following this broadcast, after the outro, after the first look at next week's. What a question. Do we question our own assumptions? How many times have we done that? And how many times has that served us for the better or served us well, as opposed to maybe causing a little bit of trouble? Ray, I love that you used a pop culture example as well as a personal example. That was a great way to relate to different people. Michael, you defined assumption and what it was and how that works in your own life. Really great to start out with that definition. But my vote for this topic is going to Mark Metcalf, who so eloquently espoused exactly what TKN is all about. This mission, he hit every single point that Avi's been saying all along, that we've been saying all along, that we want to bring people together, that we don't want to put people in boxes. He saw the questions ahead of time. He loved that they weren't about his characters from 20, 30 years ago. He loved that we've somehow managed to turn a philosophical conversation into a competition. It's a journey about self-discovery. And that's what we're all here for, and finding these people who week after week resonate with us in some way tells us more about ourselves. So my vote for topic 2 is to Mark Metcalf. And once again, please stay tuned for the post show, where you will see all of us live on there, as well as we learn the results of tonight's match. Get your votes in now. Stay tuned for the outro. We will see you on the post show, including the lovely Miranda.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, Jazelle. You guys, this has been an incredible night. I'm blown away by the vulnerability and by the amazing points that all of these competitors have hit. And the topics have just been incredible. I'm still trying to wrap my mind around it. I think it was Chad who said that I was bouncing back and forth between who my vote was going to be for the second topic and the first topic as well, because everyone did so well. I love how Ray was saying, well, I mean, you know, it is upsetting always to see that someone is against you or that someone's stealing from you. I've had a lot of things like that happen in my life. So I love how vulnerable he was in sharing those emotions and sharing that story with all of us. I really appreciated that. Michael did great as well. I loved all of his points. Ultimately, my vote has to go to Mark Metcalf, because as Jazelle was saying it so well, he embodied what TKN is all about. He explained everything so well. His passion just came through the screen, and I truly appreciated that. This is just has been an amazing, amazing night. And like everyone's been saying, guys, don't forget to tune into the outro to see who is going to be on the first match of 2025. I'm so excited. And also refresh this page right after the outro so that you can see the post show and see who moves on to round 3. And as Avi always says, it's a doggy-dog world. To you, Larry, now.
How do we follow any of this? How? Like the best. What a way to end 2024 with this. I know I'm going to try and get through this as quick as I can because I want to refresh and get to find out in the post show who is moving on, because these guys were incredible. And stick around with us. You're going to get more of an analysis from us and get our reactions more than we are right now, even. So just refresh right after this. Glacier Ray Lloyd quoting, "Need to change your world." Incredible. And then him going into thinking he was hanging with the cool kids and turned out they weren't so cool. And he went away himself and realized what he had to do and break away from them. And Mr. Cooper thinking he was going to fail and be traded, making himself better and pushing himself with his assumption being wrong, which is amazing. And then Mark Metcalf. Sorry. Man, what do you say to Howard stole the quote I was going to use, but to be drawn out of himself, which their conversation did to me tonight. I forgot I was judging and was just taking life lessons from them. And then remembered I had to come back and do a hard vote. So I did come back into myself. And I got to vote for Mark on this one because he was absolutely incredible. All of them were. And I got to say, stay tuned for the outro so we can find out the first match of 2025, because the last match of 2024 was absolutely incredible. Get your votes in now. Stick around to find out who's moving on, who's going home. And I got to know, Kelly, what are your thoughts on this awesome, amazing night?
Did you guys catch all that? That topic, that conversation, these 3 guys spinning this stuff around from their personal experience and just laying it out. We'll come back to that. First off, if you're not voting, start typing. Vote. That's what we need you to do. Vote, vote, vote. Second, when this ends, after the outro that is going to reveal the very first round 2 matchup of 2025, take a couple minutes, refresh your drink, refresh your snacks, refresh your YouTube page, and in 2 minutes, you will see the link to the post show where we've got a lot more to say and I think some surprises for everyone. But back to this match. I am typically the guy that if anybody's going to buck the tiger, that's me. But I can't tonight. That would not be right. That would not be fair. That would not be unbiased. So to sum it up, Glacier Ray Lloyd described a time in his learning phase of life and a lesson that I think just about, if not everyone, learns at some point, that just because they say they're your friend, that they truly are. It's a lesson I've had to learn probably more than once. And that resonates with me because I've been there. And then Showtime Michael Cooper comes back up in his producing phase during his career when he took corporate level fear tactics to heart, but he manufactured that into motivation to be the best he possibly could, which is not a bad outcome. But just like Ray talked about learning discernment, Michael talked about learning what fear is real and what is manufactured. But then Mark Metcalf pulled an ace out of his sleeve, in my opinion, because Mark is in his give back phase. And with that, though, he talked about in the last 6 months, since he experienced TKN in the tournament and the people involved, how that made him question his prior assumptions about so much about, you know, the type of people that did a career, the type of questions, the type of show, the type of feeling that you could come away from this particular event that airs free every week on TKN. And yeah, I don't think, you know, I can't buck the tiger on that. So without further ado, Mr. Mark Metcalf, you get my vote, sir. Thank you very, very much. So with that said, got an outro coming in pretty soon. But before that, let's bring everybody back in. Come on in, everybody. Come on back in. Chad, Miranda, Larry.
Amazing.
There's our other people. There's a Howard. There's a Jazelle. All right.
Woohoo!
Man. Every time I am on here, I say, wow, the judging can't get any more difficult. And that first topic, I wrote stuff down. I made tick marks. And they all looked identical. I'm going, what do I do with this?
Thank you for that, DJ Sub.
Yeah. Can't wait to see who wins. Well, we can't either, but we will on the post show very soon.
Yeah, we'll be finding out very soon, guys.
Oh, definitely.
100% there,
Ed Husser. Yeah,
Husser.
right. Big mess. Yeah, I can't see. Yeah, I can't wait either. It's gonna be very exciting. Man, guys, what we witnessed tonight, I can't even put into words. Julio Negron, I loved all three perspectives on this question. The one that stuck with me the most was Ray, but man, it was so close with Mark and Michael. Yeah,
very close.
Completely understand that.
Yeah, looking up to the real person behind the name, absolutely. And Mark showed us that with his answer as well in this second topic.
Arturo de las Fuentes. Love that name.
Oh, I love that.
Great to hear everyone's point of view. That's what you get here on
Thank
TKN.
you.
Howard. Say that dude's name again, man.
Arturo de las Fuentes.
Man, that's magic.
I love that.
Be the name of my next band. Arturo de las Fuentes.
That's great. Love that.
Here's, this is, you know, is that match ended. I mean, because Mark's last words were, you know, sorry, you guys won't be in Greece with me.
I know.
As excellent a writer as Avi is, I don't think he could have wrote the finish to the last match of 2024 any better than it played out.
No, he couldn't.
That was wow.
I mean, this one had it all. It had competitive camaraderie. It had ability. Yes, Gloria, it was.
Magic. It was magical.
That's the word.
U6 will make three match. Wait, 3 versus 3 matches. Sure.
All right, Julio. What team do you want to?
That'd be fun.
Yeah, what are we doing though?
Versus which 3?
Basketball, theater.
All of the
box.
Okay.
Can we do a 3-person tag team?
There we go.
I think we'll put Jazelle and Miranda on the basketball portion.
Yes.
Yeah, I see that.
All right, y'all gotta go check out my TikTok. I got some skills. I got some hidden skills.
Well, you do. You do.
Wow.
Don't you kind of post about something called paper knife on TikTok on occasion?
I do, and our block is returning. Sunday Source will be returning. Fab Friday has had a return, and Kelly's show Indie Tales and Joe shows the voiceover can be found on our YouTube channel. Paper Knife will be returning live soon along with the Howard Show. We have a great show planned on storytelling. We talk about that a lot, but we'll define what is storytelling and what is a storyteller and how does that bleed into all of the work that we do, that I do in Stage Combat Land, that we do here every week on the Green Room, on the post show, on the Black Box. It's going to be amazing. keep a lookout on all the socials because all of the info will be there as to the date and time that Paper Knife returns with the rest of the Sunday Source.
Okay.
What else is happening on the post show tonight, Chad?
Pardon me, what was that, Jazelle?
What else is happening on the post show tonight?
Oh, well, we have lots of things. There could be a top 10.
Ooh, live.
Wow.
We definitely know we're going to be getting the results of this amazing show.
Mhm.
We could be getting a little bit of something new from a few people.
Ooh.
I just don't want to give it away for everybody. I think everybody who's in the comment section, I think they need to refresh at the end of this show and tune in and find out exactly what is on the post show and why you see all 6 of us with huge smiles, because it is a mind-blowing show and we can't wait for all of you guys to see it.
Wait. I love that. Portfolio. But Chad, we could give them a little tease of what's coming up. Right? So I'll give you guys a little tease of what's coming up. So guys, you're gonna get the conclusion of my walk and talk recovery with Chris. Really awesome. It means a lot to me, that segment. You are gonna find out who won. Could we all say this together? Avi's money.
The contest last week, and a lot of people had a lot of guesses. So tune into the post show to see how that winner is decided.
Yeah, otherwise we're breaking Avi's bank. And maybe I'll also we'll share my legacy a little bit, my story. A little bit more possibly. And Kelly, is there any passions you have?
Well, I mean, I'm not the only one. I think there's some sort of room, Miranda, that you're associated with that we might see something about.
The Serene Room is coming back soon.
Nice.
For you OG Green Roomers, TKN watchers, the Green Room and the Serene Room.
Green and Serene. And then
when Peaceful Pete enters the Serene Room? I'm just curious.
You guys are gonna have to watch to find. I hope Peaceful Pete will come in.
I mean, if he brings that music along, it will be serene and peaceful.
Right.
I think we've got the commune coming up soon too. I just remembered that from the other.
Oh yes.
I'll tell you what can be serene, but is it very rarely peaceful the whole way through, and that's a D&D campaign. Which I may just lay down a little bit of math rocks and character sheets tonight. See what people think.
Math rocks?
Nice. Yeah, math rocks.
Oh, cool.
Math rocks rule.
And don't forget, we also have those amazing milestone videos that we're going to be having as well too. So I mean,
yes, it's the last show of 2024.
But yeah, there have been a ton of milestones this year. Look at the growth on our YouTube channel alone. We are venturing into the world of Twitch. Our other socials are starting to gain some traction as well. So that milestone video is going to be huge for the end of 2024. Also, a special end of video.
70,000 subscribers, guys, this year. 70,000. Thank you all. We appreciate it.
Yes, thank you guys. And we got Chad's top 10. Are we getting a top 10, Chad?
I think
What's it going to be?
Something. See something.
We got the top 10, but before we can get to the post show, don't we kind of have to have something that's going to show us what 2025 speaks to?
Ooh.
So we're heading out of this show.
Outro.
Outro.
Going to start with.
All together.
All right, let's who wants to do a countdown for the man in the back? Chad, your top 10. Give us a 10 count. Come on, bro.
10, 9, 8,
7, 6,
5,
4,
3,
2, 1.
Obsession's going to be talent every time. You got all the talent in the world, but are you obsessed? Is it all you ever think about?
Give us a chance to succeed in life. And only taking that pattern of speed has given us on our service vocation.
Again, is Yoshiro Sai, and we got to be real close friend, and I'm at an event with him. And he's truly the international professional wrestler, right?
I think I did all right, and I'm very happy now that I've been able to find a path to be happy, because I think I did flounder for a long time. The horror films seem to have such a rabid fan base, such a staying power, that I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the fans. So for that, I have to be really thankful.
The thing that I loved about what Martin Luther King represented and what this country represented was the main push was a fight against poverty.
The thing about it was we were really funny. Like, we really loved comedy. We watched people like her.
This is not, the curtain's not going up right now. That's later on. Right now you're in class. Be in class, be one of the pack, learn, fail, mistake, fall, get up, and do it again.
Man, we just had such a great time on Married with Children. It was a great group of people, which, from the top on down, which.
The truth is, to be a better person on the inside and out, you should not lie.
Goldberg versus Stone Cold, Sting and Bagwell versus, the Hardy Boys. It's endless.
Is that Singletary parlayed his NFL career into a 17-year coaching career. So not only at all levels, at high school, college, and the pro level.
And I, walked away in 1990 at the tail end 1992, beginning 1993, and then in search of, on a quest to see what life held next for Nikita Koloff.
Yeah, lots of good things in my healing work and my acting work. I'm very blessed, but then I create it that way. Oh, I must have seen it 150 times. I still cry.
Franklin being the ladies' man. You should have just brought it out. To me, this is my critique, that Benjamin was having the freak offs before Diddy. You should have said it. This is the face of a champion.
Man, I gotta be one for T now.
This is the body of a champion. This is the heart of a champion. This is the intestinal fortitude of a champion.
but everyday teaching, being an example to your peers or to your children or to young people of how to think, how to behave. That's a very, very unappreciated. And of course, teachers are extraordinarily underpaid.
It's almost a religion with me. It's very close to that. To his view of what it is to be human, and therefore what it is to be a good human being, I think have changed my life.
Chad!
Oh, wow.
Go Chad, go Chad.
Do it. Why not spice it up a bit? As I said, spicing up something doesn't mean that we're changing up a story, we're lying, we're cutting anybody, any BS, but it's making it an enjoyable for more demographics out there.
We'll go into now is that you, Jazelle, took a lot of the proper beats that needed to go into displaying Dorothy's character. The thing that worked really well was that you stopped when necessary, when Sophia or Blanche would talk. Usually,
I do want that damn green ticket. And JW, this is where you do the reps, brother. I don't see you here. Oh, are you doing the reps? Are you prepared? Yo no creo, mano. Y tú te vas a quemar. You're gonna burn.
Forget what anybody thinks, what everybody says. It's like, is there a rivalry here? Yes. Is there an intensity here? Yes. Like, is there a tension here? Yes. But there's also a competitive fire, because there's just as much respect as there is disdain. And I can't beat you in the second round if you're not prepared when you get to the second round.
The style of the storytelling is so restrained, but I still remember 40 years later, there's this shot, a documentary shot of a pile of hair.
What she said, it was just like somebody opened up my chest and took like a thing of aqua velva and just went like. I woke up a couple weeks later.
People in rehabs, a lot of them are there because they realize that they have an issue, not because that they've committed crimes. So a lot of this is speculation.
It's the guy who's willing to die who's gonna win that itch. And I know if I'm gonna have any life anymore. You gotta look at the guy next to you. Look into his eyes. Now I think you're gonna see a guy who will go that inch with you.
You know what? Maybe one of the world's problems will get solved by listening to this show.
Avi, I'm gonna win this whole thing. Watch.
I know you are, Tom. I know you are.